trying to make it so you can't film cops. So he's on this campus. We got to get him ran off campus. That's why I'm here. No, that's illegal. Scottsdale Library is a publicly funded library. That means that you have a right to film in here all you want, just so you know. Okay, I'll just need a little information, ma'am. Can I get the office of John Kavanaugh? Well, the policy's not a law. I can film in here. This is a publicly funded library. So this is John Kavanaugh. He wrote Bill SB 1300, and he wrote House Bill 2319. Okay. And what this makes it is so that we can't film police. And as you know, without transparency, what we've seen time and time again is that, I'm a constitutional law scholar.
I see it on your shirt. Let me step outside.
Oh no, I haven't gotten the information yet that I requested. And this is a publicly funded library on a public campus. So that means that I would like the office of John Kavanaugh. That's all I ask. Oh, there's a police. Can I get your name and badge number, sir?
Sure. Robert Schmidt, and my serial number is 15. What is my serial number? 156.
And can I get your name and badge number, officer?
I don't have a badge number. Here's my name right here.
It's
Well, if you refuse to comply with the mask mandate, then obviously I'm not going to tell you for trespassing.
But I have to be trespassed first but who's going to trespass me on public property?
Well, that would be one of the administrators.
But the administrator doesn't own the public property. I'm a constitutional law expert. I can teach you right now that if you guys trespass me, I can file suit against you. Just so you know, and I will hold you personally liable for violating my civil liberties. If you violate my rights, I will sue you personally. I will sue her personally, I will sue her personally, and I will sue her personally. Under a 1983, and then you'll have to hire a lawyer. The lawyer for your constitutional case will cost you at least a $5,000 retainer. So be very careful before you trespass me. How could you trespass me? And if I am trespassed and I'm forced to leave, I'm going to sue you. I'll follow up litigation. That's what I do. The reason we have body cam footage is for transparency. And now the cops are claiming footage of it that we pay for publicly. And then if we want that footage, we have to pay more money to get the footage that's publicly funded already. And all of you guys know, if you ever talk about violence in my chat, I tell you, get out of the room. No violence. We have to be peaceful. We have to do it through legislation. We have to do it through unity. We have to come together. But this is the piece of paper he gave me that gave me John Kavanaugh's information. He gave me exactly what I asked. I'll keep my word. I'm out of here. What's going on out there? How's everybody doing? I just went through a DUI checkpoint, and as you guys saw, I used my trifold. So remember, you want to use your trifold right away. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you have to answer questions for a DUI checkpoint. That's not what you want to do.
Hey, how's it going, sir?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent.
All right, have a good night.
Yep. But now I'm just going to go up here and I'm going to redress my government and let them know that we, the people, do not appreciate Nazi checkpoints in the United States of America. Don't point that light at me. Mind your business. Don't point your light at me, bro. You're out of line. In California, it's called prior restraint. I actually think that I do mind standing wherever the hell I want. This is a sidewalk right here, buddy. I'm a constitutional law scholar. I sue you pigs all the time. Don't tell me where I can stand. I can stand right here, pig. You can't stand behind me. I can stand right here, pig. Go ahead, then move your ass. You can move. You can move. Bro, I'm the wrong guy. I will sue your ass in 2 seconds flat. You'll find out though. You can take your prisoner somewhere else. Way to manufacture crime, you bunch of jerks. Just what happened? I walked up here. This pig started giving me directives, telling me this is a public sidewalk, Jack. This is our sidewalk, not your sidewalk. You can take your created prisoner somewhere else. I can walk anywhere I want. Pull up your pants. Let's see if you got a drop gun. You got a drop gun on you? You got drop drugs? In case you mess up and you kill somebody? You got drop drugs?
No.
You don't? You sure?
I don't ask the question.
Oh, I'm sure. Listen, it's with me. It's best you don't, because I tear you pigs apart. You know who I am.
How absolutely insane is this? These jackboot thug pigs have actually put a yellow testing stripe right down the middle of the sidewalk. And now they're going to completely impede my walkway. The sidewalk belongs to the people. This is absolutely incredible.
This is not the founding principles of our country. This is dog shit. This is absolute dog shit. Terrible, horrible, horrifically bad.
I asked you not to interfere with our
I'm walking down the sidewalk. Don't
you can walk around.
if you
I'm gonna
impede
ask you-
if you impede my path, I will get your name and badge number and I will sue you.
You're welcome to have it.
Okay, I'm gonna walk
You're
around
welcome
here.
to
This is the
you can
sidewalk.
walk around. You cannot.
I won't
there's a
walk
police
through you.
investigation
I won't
going
walk
on.
through, dude.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to walk down the sidewalk.
Well, there you go.
I don't need your help to walk around the grass.
I'm not stopping you.
You're getting in my face, bro.
No, I'm not gonna-
Without
I'm
the
not
badge
getting
and
in your
gun,
face.
you would never behave like this,
Sir, I'm
bro.
not getting in your
Don't even think you're a man.
You say you're walking. You keep
You
on
can
going.
back off.
Didn't you say you were?
You
didn't
can
say you
back
were
off.
going?
I'm
standing
right here, bro. Okay, I'm walking around here. You don't own this sidewalk. This is my sidewalk, Jack. You're the jackboot thug pig who's taken my sidewalk over. Look at this. They got a yellow tape on the ground. No pressure, honey. Bunch of guys with guns around you. No pressure. Don't stand behind me. I'm terrified. Isn't that what you say, Copper? I'm scared. Don't stand behind me. Didn't that pig earlier say, don't stand behind me? I'm scared. Listen. Don't do this job, kid. Get out of this now. I don't care if your mommy or daddy was a pig. Get out of this now.
Sir?
Walk away. What are you gonna do?
You can talk.
I can say anything I want. How about this? I can tell you to
Yes.
go fuck yourself right on
Yes, you
camera.
can.
I'm gonna use the bad language. I'm gonna tell him to go fuck himself because he's walking up and touching me. Bro, you don't have a right to push into me. Just remember that.
Touch me
I'm
again.
free.
Touch me
You're
again.
touching me.
Touch me again.
Look at this. He's touching me.
Touch
He
me
walked
again.
right up to me. I got you on camera, dude.
Yeah, that's
I'll
fine.
be out by the morning.
Touch
You'll be
me again.
sued by tomorrow afternoon.
I hope so.
Look me up, dog. Look me up.
I will.
Delete laws. It's right on my. It's right
That's
here.
fine.
You walked right up to me. You
fine.
walked right up to my
And I'm
camera.
telling you right now, these juveniles.
I don't give a. They're
you
part
know
of your pig stand. I can say
Exactly.
whatever the fuck I want.
No, you have to stay away from
You need to
them.
back off. De-escalate.
I don't think so, dude.
Back down. De-escalate.
I don't think so.
De-escalate.
If you don't leave these kids
De-escalate.
alone,
I can say whatever I want. These kids should
touch
not-
me again.
You keep on bumping into me,
Touch
bro.
me again.
Your body cam shows that you're walking into me.
Touch me again.
How about this? Eat my shorts, Copper.
Yes. Touch me
Eat my.
again.
What would you do about it? No.
Touch me
Take
again,
off the
and
badge
you
and
will-
gun. What would you do about it? You couldn't do a damn thing to me. You
Yes.
need this badge and you need a gun
Yes.
and you need someone to back you up.
Yes.
You're a wussy, bro.
Yes.
You need this guy right here to get out of his chair in case I decide to throw you on the ground.
Yes.
That's a simple fact. Because if you didn't have the badge and gun, bro, you're no match for me any day.
Yeah.
Not
You're
any
right.
day.
You're
So then
right.
back the fuck
You're
up,
right.
fat boy.
You're right.
Go sit down.
You're right.
Go sit down.
You're right.
You're gonna indoctrinate kids and then say I can't tell them to warn them about you. Your life is
Not when-
terrible,
not
dude.
when they're
Are you an alcoholic?
responsible.
Are you an alcoholic?
I'm not an alcoholic.
Half of you guys are. Do you beat your wife and kids?
I don't beat my wife and kids.
40% of you do.
Really? Where's
More than the
statistics at?
NFL. More than
Where's
the NBA.
statistics for that?
Look it up on the internet. It's everywhere.
No, if you want to show
So,
it to me,
so
show it
this
to me.
pig walked up to me, put his big fat belly on me, and then said, touch me again, touch me again. I'm right here, dog. I'm not moving. I can be anywhere I want. I'm a free American. You're the jackboot thug pig impeding on my freedom. I can say anything I want.
Yeah,
If there are
okay.
kids here, I can tell them, kids, don't be a pig.
Any of the kids, so long as they're not.
Oh no,
Right?
any kid I want.
We're responsible
I can
for
say
kids.
anything I want.
We're
What's the
responsible
first
for
liberty?
kids.
Speech. Where's that come from? Natural law. From who? John Locke. 1632. Right, two trees of government. 1690. Do you know anything about the government? You don't. You signed up to get your paycheck, you fat, lazy pig. You signed up to get your paycheck. You don't give a shit about me. You don't give a shit about freedom. You're here to get your paycheck and get your pension. And you know it, and I know it. Look at his face. You can see it. You are a jack. You walked up to me, bounced your fat belly into me, and then said, back off. How
You
about
sit in my
this?
face again, I'm gonna arrest you. You understand that?
You arrest me then.
Sit in my-
Arrest me.
wait, Sit in my face.
You're standing in my face. Take three
Spit
steps
in my
back.
face. Wait, spit in my
No,
face.
I'm standing right here, bud. I can say anything I want. You don't decide where I stand and if I speak or not. If you stand in my face and spit comes out, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to spit on you. But I don't like it when jackboot thug pigs get in my face. As soon as it takes, don't put your hands on me though. Don't whatever you do, don't put your hands on me. I can walk. Don't bump into me.
Hurry up.
I'm walking.
Don't go.
1, 2, 3, 4 people in torture cuffs. Why are you guys in torture cuffs? I'm a constitutional law scholar.
Go over there.
What I do is I tour the country and I sue police departments from.
go over there,
Please don't put your hands on me, sir.
Go over there.
I'm on the public sidewalk. I'm not interfering in your scene. Please don't touch me, sir.
go over there.
I will sue you tomorrow. Listen to me. You will be listed in a federal civil rights lawsuit. Don't play. I will not move from my feet from this position right here. I don't care how big and strong you think you are, bud. I know my rights. I sue pigs like you constantly. You will not tell me where I can stand. Let me make it clear. Now back down. and de-escalate. Step back.
I'm not doing anything.
Okay, then don't walk up and get in my face and put your body on mine. I'm as strong as you are, bud. But you're wearing a badge and gun, makes it so I can't fight back. So back down. I'm on the sidewalk here. You don't tell me where I can stand. If you could just drop it and let them go, you're a scumbag pig. If you can just drop everything right now, you are a son of a bitch. Do you know that? You had to have these people in torture cuffs threatening their freedom, but now you're just gonna run off? You son of a bitch. You better have them in torture cuffs for a God-blessed good reason. You are such a slime ball. You are such a slime ball. You are such the lowest denominator of... You are crap, bro. You are dog shit, dude. You really are. If you could just run off at the drop of a hat, then it wasn't so important, was it? No, was it? Was it so important?
Pulled over because of her speed. Shared license, please.
I gotta reach in here. Okay.
That's perfect. Shared license, please.
Sure. That's my license, insurance, proof of registration.
That's for sole purpose of the infractions. I don't want to get mailed out to somewhere else. Alright, so just remain inside the vehicle, I'll be right back.
So that's how the trifold works. Right here, you should stop talking, not get out of your car, not do anything else. Remain silent, take the ticket. Your job is to survive the stop.
Alrighty then, let's take a look at what we got here. Oops. Forgive me, sorry about that. How is everybody doing? I'm gonna plug in my microphone here. Just real fast. Check my settings. Okay. Let me change my sound just real quick here so you guys can hear me. Tonight I'm gonna go kind of fast. There's a lot of things to cover. So input. All right, give me a 5x5 if you guys can hear me okay. Can you guys hear me all right? Let me know if you can hear me okay. 5x5 real quick, if you could. How's everybody doing? DJ Smith, what's going on? Doctor, how are you? Mikey, good to see you. Yeah, Jerry, I'm sorry. I've been really super busy. I'm about to teach Constitutional Law Scholar. I have all of the assets on the wall now. I'm slowly but surely putting up the assets to teach Constitutional Law Scholar. I'm going to teach you guys the in-depth history of this country. And that's why it's taken so long, because there's so much to cover. You know, right now I'm up to the 1964 and 1965. So I'm looking at the wall where I have the Constitutional Law Scholar laid out. 1964, 1965 Civil Rights Acts. And then I'm at the 1970 Substance Control Act of 1970, which, as you know, is going to be written by Richard Nixon. Actually, it's going to be written by his Attorney General. The Attorney General for Richard Nixon is going to sit down in a room alone and write the Controlled Substance Act of 1970. He actually sits down with a couple of prosecutors and writes the Controlled Substance Act of 1970. So, yep. Lot to cover today. There's a lot. I've been super busy getting ready for Constitutional Law Scholar. Let me raise this mic up a little bit so you guys can hear me okay. Oh, this has to be just high enough so I can type. So how is everybody today? How is everybody? What is going on with you? Do me a favor, put a 1 in the chat if you love being a freedom fighter. If you absolutely love standing on your rights, not backing down, and fighting back against a tyrannical government. And if you would please, type in the comment section OTVO, which stands for Overturn Terry versus Ohio. If it's your first time here, this is my goal. This is what this is what my life is supposed to be. I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. And I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity, because let me tell you something. Next month in October, you guys are going to see exactly what a freedom fighter does and the lengths that we're willing to go to fight back against a corrupt, defunct, tyrannical government. And of course, as you know, when I say fight back, I'm talking about petition, assembly, speech, protest, and press. This is the most important part of everything that you do. If you don't have your camera in your hand when you interact with cops, then you are failing us, because we need to see the footage of what that cop does to you. We need to see the footage of what the cop does to you. If it's not on camera, it didn't happen. I've lovingly named my camera Hell, and wherever I go, hell's coming with me. You understand? Hell is coming with me. And this is my camera Hell. And everywhere I go, it will be with me. So next month in October, you guys are going to see. You guys are going to see. I'm telling you, I can give you specific dates, but I don't want to ruin the surprise. I don't want to ruin the surprise. So there's a couple things to cover tonight that are just absolutely imperative that have happened in the news. I know that I've been so busy that I just released the oral arguments of Murphy versus Schmidt. But what I want to do tonight is I want to break down Murphy versus Schmidt. I want to break down the case. And then also, if you guys want to take a look, type in Murphy versus Schmidt, and you can look a little bit about that. But then I want you to go to oyays.org. Sorry, excuse me. Just so insane to me what we're living through. We're living through an absolute nightmare. There's no other way to see it. So if you want to be an activist or you are an auditor, I think I saw News Now Ninja in here a few minutes ago. So News Now Ninja, if you drop a comment, I'll put it up here on the screen. I was just getting set up before. And I'm talking directly to activists and auditors. And this is some of the most important stuff that I'm going to teach right now. When you go to film cops, you absolutely have to start your audit by saying, I'm filming the cops because I'm protesting the police. I don't agree with the police system. I'm protesting police using hell, which is the name of my camera. I think I'm going to put hell on there, but I don't want to promote hell. But I let them know that hell's coming with me. Hell is coming with me. So it's the most important thing, and I'm going to show you the reason why. I know on a lot of the educational stuff, people tend to tune out, but the reason why I say I'm a constitutional law scholar is you guys are about to find out. I'm going to lay out the Constitution and the Bill of Rights in ways that you never knew before. The stuff I'm going to teach you today, the stuff I'm going to teach you over the next several weeks, you did not learn in school, you did not learn in high school, you did not learn in college. The real unedited version of history is what I'm going to teach. The foundation of law, the actual building blocks of how the 13 colonies going all the way up from 1607, go back to Roanoke colony in 1585, and then go all the way up to 1681 with the founding of Pennsylvania by William Penn. And then in 1688, William Penn is going to write the... You want to look that up, you can look it up. I'll type it in the comment section. Frame of Government by William Penn. So I put it in the comment section for you guys. This is what I'll be teaching in the first week of Constitutional Law Scholar. Well, we're going to go all the way back to the palpable so the Columbian, I'm not going to bore you guys because you need to see the graphics, you need to see the visual. But if you are an auditor and you film police, this next portion of what you're about to hear and what I'm about to teach you is imperative that you learn it. And so every single activist or auditor, any single person who ever goes out and they want to take on the police with their camera to shine the light of transparency, you start off every single time where you say, I'm protesting police and that's why I'm filming them. You have to say those exact words, and I'll show you exactly the reason why. It is imperative that you use the proper wording if you're an activist, because if you use the proper wording, these dumb pigs are going to arrest you. And you got them. You got them. You absolutely got them. So I'm going to open this up and we're going to listen to this. And if learning something's going to bore you, then let it bore you. Because after this, we're going to go into the police brutality thread that I've been saving up for the last 4 or 5 days. There's so much tyranny in our country. We're watching these jackboot thug pigs just ruin people left and right, arrest them without probable cause. We're going to talk about the case Murphy versus Schmidt. And so, you won't need to, you don't really need to, I'm going to stay on camera with you guys because I want you guys to really follow this. I want you guys to really follow this. This is some critical stuff here, especially for guys like News Now Ninja. This is some critical stuff. We're only going to listen to the first 5 or 10 minutes of this, and then we're going to jump into some police brutality videos. But I want you guys to learn this. Everybody hit the like button, if you would, please. Hit the like button. And the sound is okay. Cool. News Now Ninja. Okay, so we're gonna go Murphy arguments, and Ninja,
With the
you are gonna
inferences
love
that
this.
would be
This
required
is
to
a
be drawn
total
in the
game
appellant's
changer
favor.
for News Now Ninja.
The
An absolute game
limited,
changer. So
narrow-
let's do this. Let's jump right into this. And this lawyer who's gonna put the argument together for Murphy, he's gonna lose the case, by the way. His arguments are spot on, but the judges in our country, they don't care about the Bill of Rights. They don't care about our Constitution. This is not a constitutional state. This is a state of tyranny, as you know. This is a prison state, police state, death state. That's what this is. And we're living through it. So if you're an activist or you want to film police, you got to listen to this.
With traffic. May it please the court, I represent Mason Murphy. This is a case here.
He didn't know who he was. He saw some
Civil rights case. My client was peacefully walking on a rural...
Shoot, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I absolutely need headphones for this to work. I am so sorry. I apologize. I will need headphones to make this video. After I plugged this bad chicken in, I have to have headphones. So you guys do me a favor real quick. Just give me 15 seconds here. 15 seconds. 15 seconds. One second. Can't see this. There's some stuff in here you can't see yet. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay. We are back on now. Forgive me for that. I apologize. I had to do some stuff, and there's some stuff in here that I can't show you guys just yet, but I will be showing you everything in this studio very, very soon. What I'm going to teach you right now, though, is really, really good. This is really good stuff.
Road. May it please the court, I represent Mason Murphy. This is a case here on a motion to dismiss granted by the district court. It is a civil rights case. My client was peacefully walking on a rural road. He was on the wrong side of the road. We acknowledge that. There's a Missouri statute, 300-405, says you have to walk against traffic. He was walking with traffic. And Officer Schmidt rolled up on him and said, "Give me your name." And my client said, "No." A quite elaborate argument ensued, went on for 9 minutes. Finally, my client was placed under arrest. And he sues now for retaliation.
Okay, now I don't know if Mason Murphy is white or black, but what I do know is Missouri statute 300.405 is a racist law created in Missouri to arrest black people. And let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. So if you take a look at the statute, the Missouri statute is going to be created August 28th of 1965. Pedestrians walking along the roadway. So, you know, I can't take you down all the research that I did on this, but what I can tell you is that in August of 1865, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 passed, and for the first time, blacks were allowed to walk into town. To walk into town. Remember, the 1950 Model T Ford, that was when everybody who was white got a car, but very few black people had cars. Very few black people had cars. And so most people walk down the road. So Missouri, which is one of the most racist states in our country, if you're from Missouri, I'm really sorry, your legislature and your government has been racist. And we're going to go over that in detail in Constitutional Law Scholar. But let me ask you a question. Why would you create a criminal code in August 28th of 1965? Why would you make that a criminal act? Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you can't walk with traffic behind you. You have to walk with traffic coming towards you. So who created that? the racist legislator, because I'll tell you why. 1954, Brown versus Board of Education passes and it desegregates America. Before 1954, if you were black, you were not allowed to walk into town, especially after dark. If you're in town after 5 or 6 p.m., you're going to get beat or you're going to get lynched. Lynchings happened all the way up until 1960. I'm going by NAA statistics. It's going to be 1965, 1966. Those civil rights workers were lynched. And so Missouri created a racist statute in 1965, August 28th, you're looking at it right there, that said that it was a criminal act for you to walk the wrong way down the road. This is a racist law. I don't know if anybody can find the video. If anybody can find the video for Mason Murphy being arrested, it's a 9-minute long video. Apparently there's pretty far back and forth. I would like to hear that. I'd like to, and I don't know if Mason Murphy is black or white, but I can tell you this. Missouri Statute 300.405, it was created to be able to arrest black people who walked on the wrong side of the road in Missouri in 1965. And that's exactly what happened. Like I said, if there is a law on the books, there is a cop ready to enforce it. So what do I always say to you guys? We are living under a set of racist laws created for black people. We're creating this law. Don't worry about it. It's only going to be applied to blacks. And so Mason Murphy, if he's black, then he's still experiencing the racism of 1965 Missouri legislators who passed a law that said it's illegal for you to walk on the left side. Now, I understand if there's an outcry, if there's an educational forum where you walk on the road and there's signs up that say you can't walk on this side of the road, you have to walk on this. I understand that in the idea of public safety, but they didn't create Statute 300.405 based on public safety. They created it after the 1964 Civil Rights Act. And then what happened was when black people were walking into town, they created a way to arrest those black people in Missouri. I don't love this. I'm pretty pasty for being Colombian. I have green eyes. Most cops see me as a pure white guy until they arrest me and my name is Jose Maria. So it's a crime to walk down the wrong side of the road. So the cops see Mason Murphy walking down the road. I don't have that video. If anybody wants to find that video, I'll share it on here. But we're living under the racist legislatures of Missouri, and this goes up to federal court, and the judges in the federal court say, no, it's perfectly fine to arrest him, even with no probable cause. I'll let you listen to the rest of this, and then I'm going to stop it and talk about this a few times as we go.
For exercise of his First Amendment rights. Finally, my client.
So they pull him over on the side of the road, and then an argument ensues for 9 minutes. I don't have that video. Maybe someone has that video. Maybe it's somewhere. But now
was placed under arrest, and he sues now for retaliation for exercise of his First Amendment rights. The first three elements of that are well established. The first element is a protected action by the plaintiff, in this case, exercising his speech to say, I won't say my name. Adverse action, that's an easy one, the arrest. Three is a little more complicated, motivation, retaliatory animus, a but-for test, but we'll, I'm sure, get into that in more detail later.
Now, if you're an activist or you film police, you definitely want to listen to this next part.
And the last element really is where this case lives and breathes. That is the requirement, normally, most cases, that there was no probable cause for the arrest. So here we go to Atwater, which says that if a officer has any reason to arrest a subject, in other words, the subject has broken some law, that the subject can be arrested and there's no retaliation.
Okay, so this is going to switch right here. News Now Ninja and every other activist, anybody who ever films police, you got to listen to this. But let me just cover real quick Atwater versus City of Lago Vista. 2001 case. So just so you know, the Rehnquist court that went until 2005, and then the John Roberts court started in 2005 when they switched chief justices out and John Roberts became the head of the Supreme Court. The only Supreme Court justice who was a Supreme Court justice longer than our current Chief Justice John Roberts was John Marshall, who was the third Supreme Court Chief Justice. It went John Jay, Ellsworth, and then John Marshall. John Marshall was Supreme Court Justice for, was it 27 years or something like that? 33 years? The point is, though, we have a tyrannical Supreme Court that doesn't have any sort of ethics obligations at all to us. And the only reason that any of us are happy with the current Supreme Court is because they're upholding our gun rights. Other than that, they don't work for us. They work for big corporations.
Now we come to the Neves case, which was decided in 2019.
Listen,
These
news
events
now.
occurred in 2021 afterward. One of the things about some of the cases are that they're...
So I'm going to go back here real quick because these two pieces go together. You have to hear this. Atwater says that you can be arrested for any infraction of the law. That's what the lawyer just said to the judges. That's true. However, in 2019, Judge Neil Gorsuch is going to put a caveat on that if you are actively protesting the police.
So here we go to Atwater, which says that if a officer has any reason to arrest a subject, in other words, the subject has broken some law, that the subject can be arrested and there's no retaliation. Now we come to the Neves case, which was decided in 2019. These events occurred in 2021 afterward.
He just said anything is arrestable. Atwater versus City of Lago Vista, 2001 says anything's arrestable. And then he said, well, let's go to the Nivens case.
One of the things about some of the cases are that there's a lot of crazy, raucous behavior, and the Neves case is certainly a good example of that. We are at the Arctic Man Festival in Alaska, and there are lots of people crazy and drunk, and an officer comes up to one group and says, hey, your keg of beer is accessible to juveniles. You have to remove that. And then Mr. Neves approaches and says, hey, don't listen to those cops. They're a bunch of schmucks and things like that. And then the critical thing that happens is that they scuffle a little bit. And Mr. Neves is arrested. He sues and says, oh, retaliation because I challenged the police. And the court said, no, there's probable cause because you scuffled with the officer. It's a resistance.
Did you hear that? If you're an activist and the cops are going to arrest you and you scuffle with them, which, as you know, I've spent 25 years on the wrestling mat. So you can't scuffle with the cops if they go to arrest you. You can move around. You can not willingly just be arrested. They're still going to charge you with resisting no matter what, even if you put your hands by your side. We know that from the Mississippi band director who put his hands down. They tased him and arrested him. But the point is, for activists, you cannot fight them. You can't get into a scuffle with them, because if you do, the judge is going to say, oh, no, you should have just taken the ride and then fought it in court. There's a famous saying that lawyers say, you can beat the rap, but not the ride. That means you have to go through the torture cuffs. You have to go through the strip searching. You have to go through the turnaround, squat, and cough. You have to go through all those things to be able to fight for your rights properly.
Oh, retaliation because I challenged the police. And the court said, no, there's probable cause.
Because
you scuffled with the officer.
You can't fight the cops.
Arrest, or it's assault, whatever you want to call it. This is actually an easy case. Now we come to the heart of this case.
If he was at his house and he was wrongfully arrested, then he could scuffle with the police. But I don't recommend anybody does that.
Which is the court writes an exception. And the exception is, the example they give is jaywalking. So if there's a person protesting the police while jaywalking and the officer arrests the person for jaywalking, then it's, even though there's probable cause, because jaywalking is against the law, it is mostly, I think the word is typical, that the officer exercises discretion not to arrest that person for any person for that offense, and therefore the retaliation claim goes forward.
Okay, so two things. Number one, I just saw someone said that you requested a stenographer. You can hire your own private stenographer, which is exactly what we're doing in a case that's coming up. We're hiring our own stenographer to go in for the case. So I want you guys to hear the process here, and I'm going to explain it. If you're an activist and you say, I'm filming police because I'm protesting the police, I'm protesting police by filming them. I want to catch them doing something wrong on camera. Doesn't matter. All you have to say is I'm protesting police. The 2001 case of Atwater versus City of Lago Vista says any infraction of the law done in front of a peace officer is arrestable. However, in 2019, Neil Gorsuch would write in his majority concurring opinion in Nivens versus Bartlett that came out of Alaska, that if you are protesting the police and you happen to step in the street and you're jaywalking or you cross the street, you cannot arrest somebody. Just like there's constantly caveats for the police, constantly the caveats. I can list a dozen cases. I want to stay focused here. If you say you're protesting the police and then you jaywalk, it's an infraction, right? But if you're actively protesting the police and you have your camera in your hand and you said to your camera, I am protesting the police. I'm protesting police. And then as you're protesting police, you happen to jaywalk, or you're jaywalking as you protest, and that cop arrests you, that is a slam dunk 1983 civil rights violation. You can quote Neil Gorsuch from his 2019 case of Nivens versus Bartlett. This is the most important part and the reason why I'm showing you this video. Every time you pull out your camera and you're going to film a cop, no matter what the situation is, if there's going to be a piggy on camera, you start off by saying, I'm protesting police. That's it. That's the whole line you say. Every single activist, every single auditor in the United States of America starts with that line. You start by saying that.
I suggest to this court, this is the heart of my argument, that my case, Mr. Murphy's matter, is directly within that exception. And the reason is that my client, what he did wrong was he walked on the wrong side of the road, which I suggest in this case it was dark, it was late, it was rural. He didn't probably pay any attention to which side he was on. And I think the officer didn't really know the law either. I don't know if you've watched the video, but it's quite...
Is the video online? To be honest, I haven't even looked. See if anybody can find the Mason Murphy, Michael Schmidt. You can see the names here. And see if you can find that video on YouTube. See if it's out anywhere, and send me the link or send it to DLZ Clips. And let's see if we can find that video.
Startling.
Counsel, let me ask you this.
Sure.
The government asserts that the Neves exception is dicta. What's your response to that?
Well, I discussed that in my brief, Your Honor, and the Eighth Circuit has written that, and other circuits as well, that this court has to follow dicta of the Supreme Court. It doesn't absolutely have to, I guess, but if it doesn't, there are going to be inconsistent results around the circuits. So that's really my response to that. I mean, let's imagine that the...
So are you saying it's dicta or it's not dicta?
Oh, it's dicta. There's no question it's dicta, sir. I agree with that. But let's imagine that the justices...
Okay, so let's take a pause real quick, because we're learning together here, and let's look up what dicta is. Let's just take a look. Let's read about when he said that's dicta. Well, if that's dicta. I'm trying to be more political because I will run for governor and I will win governorship and I will change this dog crap system from the top down. But just go ahead and make your own dirty joke about that's dicta. We are consenting adults here. So let's just take a look real quick. Let me see what you guys can see, and let me open this bad chicken big so everybody can see it. Oh, I'm so sorry. There it is. So right here it says, what is dicta at Scotus? In the context of the Supreme Court of the United States, dicta, plural of dictum, refers to statements or remarks made by the court in a judicial opinion that are not essential to the decision of the case. Dicta are often additional comments, explanations, or expressions of legal principles that go beyond what is necessary to resolve the specific legal issue before the court. The key distinction in a Supreme Court opinion in between holding and dicta. So as you guys know, in the Supreme Court, they don't make rulings, they make holdings on what is constitutional or not constitutional. The holding upholds the Constitution, or it gets struck down because it's not constitutional. A good example of that would be the 2000 case of Lopez versus United States versus Morrison that struck down the Violence Against Women's Clause that was created by the Interstate Commerce Clause. So the key distinction in a Supreme Court opinion between holding and dicta. The holding is the legal rule or decision that is necessary to resolve the case and set a precedent for future cases. Dicta, on the other hand, are not binding precedent and are not required to be followed in future cases. However, dicta can still be influential and cited in subsequent legal arguments and decisions. Lawyers and legal scholars pay attention to the court's holdings because they establish binding legal precedent, which dicta are often considered persuasive authority but are not binding on the lower courts. It's important to distinguish between the two when analyzing Supreme Court opinions and their impact on the development of legal principles in the United States of America. So now you still have the dicta. You still have it. It's still there. Okie dokie. So now let's go back to the original. No one can find that. So News Now Ninja took a look. So I'm still going to start all of my audits with, I'm here protesting police, because the dicta is there. Dicta is the simple quotes or things said at the Supreme Court level when the 9 monarchs who are appointed by the elitists who are run by the corporations are appointed to the court that's called Supreme. Then what happens is, anything they say during the arguments or what they write in their holding is dicta. Well, no, they wouldn't write it in their holding or it wouldn't be dicta. What they say during oral arguments is dicta, according to what we just read on ChatGPT. So I'm going to play a little more of this video, and then we're going to jump into some police videos I've been dying to show you guys.
Are back in conference thinking about the case, and to me, what they're worried about is the Mason Murphy scenario. That's their concern. I mean, I wish they'd said walking on the wrong side of the road instead of jaywalking, but they said jaywalking.
Let me ask for a little clarification. Are you saying that the jaywalking exception is dicta, or that the exception to the no probable cause rule is dicta?
I think that it's both dicta, Your Honor. I would agree with that, because the case itself, there was probable cause, and the court confirmed. I hope I don't disagree, Judge Malloy, but I think that this whole section of the opinion in Neves on the jaywalking says, okay, we're clarifying this. There has to be probable cause, but there's going to be cases. There are going to be cases. Let me quote from Justice Gorsuch.
Here it is. Here it is. Listen.
He did a concurrence in Neves. He said, nothing in our precedent, let alone logic, suggests that causation is always unprovable just because the officer had probable cause to arrest. So they were really thinking it through in this case, and they wanted to make sure that situations like jaywalking, like walking on the wrong side of the road, would still be coming forth to have justice for subjects whose constitutional rights were violated.
Okay, so now what the argument in the court is right now, what the judge is saying to the lawyer is Mason Murphy, the plaintiff in this, who sued the cop for wrongfully arresting him for a First Amendment violation. He said it was a First Amendment, but then the cop took him back to the office, is what they call it. We call it the dungeon. He took Mason Murphy to the dungeon, and then they didn't have any probable cause to arrest him. So they looked up the statute that was written in 1965 for blacks, and then it was updated again, I think in 2000, I can't remember that last update, the Missouri Revised Code, MRC. So when you look that up, you're going to see that they continued this racist law in the year 2020 or 2022 maybe. Someone can look up the statute. I think I have it right here. It's irrelevant. What I'm trying to explain to you is the lawyer is arguing that there has to be an exception made. You can't just arrest people. It's unreasonable. It's unreasonable to arrest Mason Murphy. It's a violation of the Fourth Amendment because even if he arrested him with probable cause under Missouri Statute 300.405, it's still under the Fourth Amendment would be considered unreasonable. And that's what the lawyer is arguing, and that the dicta would state that if you're protesting police, you can't be arrested for jaywalking. So he's trying to align the dicta that Judge Neil Gorsuch said in the Nivens case, that, you know what, Gorsuch says in the Nivens case that we have to allow an exception for people who are protesting the police. And if they're jaywalking, they shouldn't be arrested because it would be clearly retaliatory. So they pull over Mason Murphy on the side of the road. He's just walking on the road. They ask him for identification. And he says, I'm not going to give you ID. They have a spirited conversation, which is probably, F you. And then they arrest him because he tells them to F off. They don't have any probable cause to arrest him. They get back to the police station and they decide, they look up this old racist law and they charge him with the old racist law. But they didn't have probable cause to begin with. It's on video. We can't find the video, but we know it's on video. So, of course, Mason Murphy sues him for a First Amendment violation because he's saying, you're arresting me for free speech. The police say, we didn't arrest you for free speech. We arrested you for Missouri Revised Code 300.405. Now, the lawyer for Mason Murphy at the federal court, they're in federal court here. So he's talking to these monarchs. They're all also appointed for life. This has got to change. We cannot appoint people in our government for life. This has got to change. None of you should be appointed to life for your job. Nobody should be appointed to a government position for life. It's ridiculous. And then they get qualified immunity. And they get qualified immunity from the 1951 case of Tenney versus Brandov. My blood pressure. I mean, we are living in absolute frickin' tyranny. I can feel my heart pounding as I explain this to you. And just so you know, the lawyer loses. And the judges at the federal level, they're one step away. They're going to apply for certiorari to go to the Supreme Court, to have the Supreme Court hear the case. The federal judges rule against Mason Murphy. And they said they could arrest him without probable cause. The Fourth Amendment is completely and utterly wiped away.
Counsel, would you address the issue of whether or not this was a lawful order, or more specifically?
Sure.
And because I think it relates to the district court's opinion, basically found that there was a violation of Missouri statutes here.
Yeah.
For the
So
state.
I think that goes to the Heibel case. And I will confess to you, I'm living on exceptions here. I've got two exceptions. I got the Neves
Heibel is in your trifold.
exception and now the Heibel exception. So let me just read you from Heibel. Petitioner's concerns are met by the requirement, and Heibel, 2004 or something, that's approximately right.
That's right.
Are met by the requirement that a Terry stop, and this is a Terry stop under an objective standard. He was on the wrong side of the road, reasonable suspicion. A Terry stop must be justified and reasonably related in scope to the circumstances which justified the initial stop. That's long-standing, clear law. Under these principles, an officer may not arrest a suspect for failure to identify himself if the request for identification is not reasonably related to the circumstances justifying the stop.
Okay, let me break down Hibble for you real quick. In your trifold, Hibble versus 6th Judicial District Court, right here in Nevada. Because Nevada was what you call a stop and ID state. So in Hibble, what happens is they arrest Hibble because he's not going to give identification. It goes to court, and then I believe it's the Supreme Court. I think it's the Supreme Court of the United States. I'm pretty sure. It wasn't a circuit court, and it was the Supreme Court of the United States. And what they decide in Hibble is that if the cop stops you and you're in a stop and ID state, and he states that he has reasonable articulable suspicion of a crime, and he can articulate a singular articulable fact of why he believes that you're involved in a crime. And he says, because I have reasonable articulable suspicion and I have a singular articulable fact of criminality, you have to ID yourself. Not so fast. You have to ID yourself in the reference of how you identify. I identify as good citizen. You've identified yourself. You don't have to pull your ID out of your wallet and give it to the copper because he says I have reasonable articulable suspicion and I have a singular articulable fact of criminality. You still don't have to give him your identification. You do have to say how you identify. And on the Fifth Amendment card coming out, should be done tomorrow. Good Lord, we've been working on this thing. The Fifth Amendment card coming out tomorrow, it gives you a step-by-step tutorial of when the cop asks you for your ID, you give him the Fifth Amendment card, you have a copy of the Fifth Amendment card, and you just go right down that list, and it has Hibble on it. And it explains to the cop, I've invoked my Fifth Amendment right, you can't question me anymore. And now we're down to number 4, and he says, well, I have reasonable articulable suspicion and a articulable fact of criminality. Okay, cool. Look at number 4. You don't have probable cause. And because you don't have probable cause, you can't get my ID. I gave you the ID I'm going to give you, which is the Fifth Amendment card. You can't even ask me for my ID again without my attorney. You're questioning me. If you know your rights, you can stand on your rights. You just have to know them inside and out. There's a reason why I don't get arrested very often, because I know my rights inside and out. I know them like I know them like I know them. So let's keep listening, because there's some more gold in here that I can continue to educate a little bit.
Now, let me detail that a little bit. In the must be justified and reasonably related in scope to the circumstances which justified the initial stop. That's long-standing, clear law. Under these principles, an officer may not arrest a suspect for failure to identify himself if the request for identification is not reasonably related to the circumstances justifying the stop.
And they stopped him for no reason. He was walking down the road.
Detail that a little bit. In the Heibel case, we're down in Nevada. There's a phone call for an assault with a description of a car. The officer sees a guy standing next to a car that meets the description of the car. He goes over, he says, hey, who are you? I'm not telling you. So it goes on from there, the argument, the arrest.
So so he walks over to a guy by a car and says, hey, who are you? And he says, I'm not going to give you my ID. What do you mean, who am I? Who are you?
And the critical fact is that in that case, the officer didn't know who had committed the assault. They were looking for the perp. So identification of the person standing next to the matching car, I mean, well, he wasn't the guy, but that's not important.
No. It is important. It is important that he wasn't the guy, but yet he was still arrested for not identifying. It is important. That's a very important fact.
The critical thing is that the officer needed to ID the perp. In this case, Mr. Murphy was ID'd, not his identity, but the person who had committed it was clear because he was standing right in front of him when it happened. So that's the difference. Now, there's other issues about what is called other evasive behavior. I mean, so there's a beg the question issue with refusing to identify yourself. You didn't identify yourself, but you didn't have any duty to identify yourself. I think under the Heibel exception, there is no duty to identify himself because it's in the case. The exception is when there's no statute in Missouri requiring you to do it, which was present in Nevada.
Well, doesn't lawful...
Because Nevada was a stop and ID state. That's why there was already a precedent set, which is why any encroachment on our rights at all whatsoever, we have to fight tooth and nail. So just listen to this.
Now, there's other issues about what is called other evasive behavior. I mean, so there's a beg the question issue with refusing to identify yourself.
Okay.
You didn't identify yourself, but you didn't have any duty to identify yourself. I think under the Heibel exception, there is no duty to identify himself because it's in the case.
Okay, so evasive behavior. The cop walks up to you and says, hey, you by a car, give me your ID. Okay. Bro, do that to me. Do that to me. And when I have the Fifth Amendment card, do it to someone who has the Fifth Amendment card. And if you catch it on camera with the Fifth Amendment card and he arrests you, I'll bail you out of jail. If you use the Fifth Amendment card and you got it on camera and he arrests you, I'll get you out of jail. So he's talking about evasive behavior. If a cop walks up to you and demands my identification, and he's going to get, well, from me, you know what he's going to get. But from anybody in here, put a 1 in the chat if you would have some evasive behavior. If you were standing out in a parking lot in a public space, standing by a car, and the cop ran up to you and said, hey, give me your ID. Put a 1 in the chat if you would exhibit some sort of evasive behavior. What are we talking about here? You're going to receive some evasive behavior. I would say evasive behavior. Put a one in the chat if you would show some evasive behavior if a cop decided he was going to walk up to you and demand your identification based on a racist law in Missouri.
The exception is
I combined them. That was Murphy and Hibble. Sorry.
when there's no statute in Missouri requiring you to do it, which was present in Nevada.
Well, doesn't lawful order arguably, in other words, if the officer orders you to identify yourself, doesn't that arguably fall within the statute? Assuming, let's say, we had a question.
Listen to that frickin' judge. He's a frickin' federal judge. He's been frickin' appointed for life. For life. This douchebag talking. You are such a douchebag, bro. You don't know the answer to this? I'm an autodidactic constitutional law scholar, and I know the answer to this.
Arguably, in other words, if the officer orders you to identify yourself, doesn't that arguably fall within the statute? Assuming, let's say, we had a question of identity. In other words, that there was a report that someone had just robbed a liquor store, drive up, walk behind him. He's walking on the wrong side of the road. You go up and ask to identify. Does the statute work in that context?
I'm sorry, sir, which statute?
Under Hybels. I'm talking about 300.080. In other words, the lawful order.
Okay, all right. I didn't know whether you were that or on the wrong side of those statutes.
Because under Hybels, you need a state statute.
Someone pull that statute up for me. Post the link.
Hybels. I'm talking about 300.080.
I got it.
In other words, the lawful order.
Okay, all right. I didn't know whether you were that or on the wrong side of those statutes.
Because under Hybels, you need a state statute, right? And then you need reasonably related to the investigatory stop, is my understanding.
Okay, so I have a different understanding of the statute at issue in Hybel. In Hybel, they said, in Nevada, there is a statute that says a subject in a Terry stop must identify himself. There is no such statute in Missouri. There's a critical distinction, I think. Further, in this case, if it's a lawful order, it has to be consistent with Hybel. And I'm suggesting that under the Hybel exception, it's not a lawful order. So you don't have to, a subject doesn't have to follow an unlawful order, only a lawful order. There's also this whole issue of
let's take a pause.
Let's
take a pause real quick here because I looked up Missouri statute 080 and I want you guys to read the statute in Missouri. This is absolutely just it. What are we talking about here? Obedience to police and fire department officials. No person shall, let me see what you guys can see. Forgive me. Missouri statute 300.080, obedience to a police officer and fire department official. No person shall knowingly fail or refuse to comply with any lawful order or direction of a police officer or fire department official. Wow, that's pretty broad. Let's break it down. If I'm filming him, I'm knowingly or I'm going to refuse to step away from filming him. So right away, because I'm protesting police in 300.080, if he tells me to get away from the car, I'm going to refuse to comply. So if you audit police in Missouri with any lawful order, so telling me to get away from the car wouldn't be a lawful order or direction of a police officer. So it's not just that if I refuse to comply with any lawful order, it's I've refused to comply with any direction of a police officer, with any lawful order or direction of a police officer. I mean, obedience to police. Obedience to police. Comply with the direction of a police officer. Just cut those words out. You don't need the other words. Obedience to comply to the directions of a police officer. And if you don't, then you're violating the law. What the hell are we even talking about here? This is absolutely ridiculous. I just cannot believe that. So essentially, if you don't comply to the direction of a police officer in Missouri, he can arrest you. You can beat the rap, but not the ride. You're still going to be thrown in torture cuffs, maybe thrown on the ground, maybe tased. You're still going to be taken down to the dungeon. You could be strip searched. You could die in the dungeon. You could get beat up in the dungeon. You could get hurt in the dungeon. The guards could hurt you. There's no rules once you're behind the walls. There's no rules. There's no rights and there's no rules once you're in the dungeon. Once you go behind the wall and the gate closes behind you, be very serious. It's no longer time to play games. The moment that wall closes behind you, I tell you to plead the Fifth Amendment when you're talking to cops. The moment the gate closes behind you, when you go to the dungeon, shut your frickin' mouth. Shut your fricking mouth. Shut up or you're gonna die. They're gonna kill you in there, Jack. They're gonna kill you. There's no rules to what they can do to you once you're behind the dungeon doors. You shut your frickin' mouth. You don't make friends with anybody. You don't talk to anybody. You don't say anything. You shut up. Then when they put you in the dungeon with the other people that they've treated like animals for weeks, months, or even years, you rip out as many push-ups as you can. You just do push-ups and pull-ups and squats, and you pump yourself up, and you don't say a frickin' word to a single person there. You have nothing to say. That's not your place. You're not staying there. Why do you care about the politics? Shut up. I'm telling you, I've been to the dungeon dozens of times. It's horrible. Each and every one is dangerous. Each and every one, your life is on the line. You got to listen to me. It's one thing that I tell you to plead the Fifth out here. It's another thing. I mean, you'll die. They'll kill you. They'll absolutely kill you. They'll kill you. You resisted them. They were keeping order. Yeah, it was horrible. You know, we told him to settle down and he didn't. And then the guards ran out there and grabbed him and he slipped and he hit his head on the back of the ground and he died. That's it. That's the whole story. The cameras in that block weren't working. He hung himself just like Jeffrey Epstein.
Where that's a Supreme Court case from 2018. The officers come up to this wild party. The place is a mess, and there's under the Heibel exception, it's not a lawful order. So you don't have to. A subject doesn't have to follow an unlawful order. Only a lawful order.
Right.
There's also this whole issue of the Wesby case, where that's a Supreme Court case from 2018. The Officer Wesby case. There's also this whole issue of the Wesby case.
The Wesby case.
Where that's a Supreme Court case from 2018. The officers come up to this wild party. The place is a mess, and there's nudity, drug use. They got somebody on the phone who claims to be the landlord and admits she isn't. And they said, "Oh, that's enough evasive behavior. That's enough." But I am suggesting to the...
Did you hear that? That's enough evasive behavior. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about? A total police state. That's what we're talking about. If you don't follow the directions of police, you're evasive. I just almost shot snot out of my nose. What are we talking about here? This is not America. I'm going to teach you guys this next week, Constitutional Law Scholar. It's on the wall, baby. I can't wait for you guys to learn the real foundations and principles of liberty.
This court, my client didn't stumble. The officer admitted that there was no resisting. He admitted he wasn't, quote, on something. And if you watch the video, the guy's stone cold sober. And that's what we allege, and the video is part of the complaint because it's referenced. So my assertion is that the evasive behavior simply doesn't get, in this case, under that case law, to where it needs to be for Officer Schmidt to arrest Mr. Schmidt. Mr. Murphy, sorry.
Schmidt can't arrest Schmidt.
What about the clearly established prong?
Okay.
Is there enough ambiguity in Highball and these other cases to say that it wasn't clearly established that he could ask for his identification, assuming it was only a Terry stop?
Yes, sir.
If you guys don't notice, almost every single thing that happens in policing, the word Terry stop comes right next to it. Every time I play some court stuff for you and I show you guys how the courts are stripping us of our rights over and over and over, what does it always come down to? Terry, or a case that's an extension or jurisprudence of Terry versus Ohio.
Established prong.
Okay. Schmidt to arrest Mr. Schmidt.
Listen.
Mr. Murphy, sorry.
What about the clearly established prong?
Okay. What about the clearly established prong? Let's take a look at what the clearly established prong is. Let me see what you let me see what you guys can see. Let me open this bad chicken big. Okay. What is the clearly established prong? The clearly established prong in law typically refers to the requirements in the context of qualified immunity, a legal doctrine in the United States that shields government officials, including law enforcement officers, from being held personally liable for actions they take in the course of their official duties. To successfully sue a government official for violation of a constitutional right, a plaintiff often needs to show two prongs. Forgive me. One, a violation of a constitutional right. The plaintiff must first demonstrate that the government official violated a clearly established constitutional right. Like I told you, plead the Fifth Amendment and you go to court. He clearly continued to question you after you said, I plead the Fifth. This means showing the official's actions violated a right that is recognized and well established in existing law. This prong requires the plaintiff to point to prior case decisions or legal precedent that clearly established the constitutional right in question. Your Fifth Amendment is clearly established since 1791. Clearly established law. This is the second prong. Clearly established law. The second prong, which you mentioned as clearly established, the second prong, which you mentioned as the clearly established prong, requires that the law regarding the violated right was clearly established at the time of the alleged violation. In other words, the plaintiff must show that a reasonable government official in the same circumstances would have known that their actions violated a clearly established constitutional right. This often involves demonstrating that there were prior court decisions or legal standards in place that would have put the official on notice that their actions were unconstitutional. The clearly established prong is crucial because it serves as a barrier to holding government officials personally liable for actions they took in their official capacity. If the law regarding the asserted right was not clearly established at the time of the alleged violation, qualified immunity may apply. And the official may not be held personally liable, even if a constitutional violation occurred. Oh, God. Oh, my God. It's critical because it serves as a barrier. It's critical because it serves as a barrier to holding government officials personally liable for actions they took in their official capacity. If the law regarding the asserted right was not clearly established at the time of the alleged violation, if the law regarding the asserted right that was being violated was not clearly established at the time of the alleged violation, you have to plead the Fifth Amendment out loud and unequivocally, because if the law regarding the asserted right, your fifth, so let me read it again, and I'm going to put it in the proper verbiage so you can understand the sentence. If the law regarding the Fifth Amendment is clearly established at the time of the alleged violation of your constitutional rights, and even if the law regarding the asserted right if it's not clearly established, if you don't clearly say, I revoke consent, stop searching my car. If you don't clearly say, I plead the Fifth Amendment to remain silent. If you're suing with the two-prong effect, I'm sorry, the two-prong, the two established, what is clearly established prong. So if you're suing on the clearly, you have to be clear that you asserted your right. That's why it's so important that you narrate everything. You have to assert the right that you're going to sue for at the time of the alleged constitutional violation. So if it's not clearly established that why you think your rights are being violated, then qualified immunity could still apply. So if News Now, I want to see you guys. If News Now Ninja decides that he's going to go film in a police department and he's going to be the press, he's going into the police department to film the police department, to audit it as a member of the press. If they arrest him and he has not clearly established and announced, I'm acting as a journalist, as a member of the press, then because the clearly established prong, he may not be able to sue. And the federal judge brought it up. What about the clear? What a basket. And so the official, if you don't announce what you're going to sue for, he may not be held personally liable, even if the constitutional violation occurred. Qualified immunity has been a subject to debate and controversy in the United States, as some argue that it can be difficult for individuals to seek redress for alleged violations of their rights by government officials. Courts, including the U.S. Supreme Court, have issued various rulings over the years clarifying the standards for qualified immunity and how it applies to specific cases. So, wow. I mean, to me, and welcome to Constitutional Law Scholar. This is, you're learning the two-prong standard here. You're learning these things, and this is how you can become a scholar of your own, just by taking these little pieces of information and stacking them up for years and years and years and years. And then you'll be able to film police and feel a lot more confident, because now you know that when you go film them, you say, I'm protesting police and I'm using my First Amendment right of press and speech while I'm here, because I may even curse this cop out if he triggers me, because I can't stand watching tyranny. So I have the right to curse you out, and I will frickin' curse you out. It's just that simple. I have the right to curse you out. So you can say that. This is the gold that just keeps on giving.
Okay.
Is there enough ambiguity in highball and these other cases to say that it wasn't clearly established that he could ask for his identification, assuming it was only a Terry stop?
Yes, sir. And that's why I read you directly from Hybel. Hybel says, under these principles, an officer may not arrest a suspect for failure to identify himself if the request for identification is not reasonably related to the circumstances. That's pretty strong.
Who makes the decision as to what's reasonably related?
Sure.
And
who does it? Who makes the decision?
We talk a lot about in qualified immunity. It can't be at a generalized level. It has to be some specificity. How do we make that determination, or who makes that determination? What's reasonable?
The cop does.
Related?
Well, I think I view qualified immunity as sort of a large cloud of complexity, but I think that you have to look at where the case falls on the continuum. In other words, is it way at one end or way at the other? In this case, this idea that the officer had the subject, Mr. Murphy, right in front of him, tells him that identification of who did it is not part of his investigation. He knows who did it. It's the human being right in front of him.
Walking on.
Your rebuttal time has started. If you'd like to reserve.
So he's guilty of walking on the wrong side of the road. He's guilty. they created a racist statute in 1965 to arrest black people for walking on the wrong side of the road. And then once that black person was in jail, they would rot because they arrested people they didn't like. Oh, there are some blacks that the cops were, oh, Jimmy, he's okay. But if you were one of the blacks they didn't like and you walked on the wrong side of the road, you got arrested. And you can beat the rap, but not the ride. Now the ride includes the torture cuffs, which are just horrendous, right? But just imagine what the ride was like in 1965. It doesn't matter what color you are. Just think about that. Imagine what the ride was like in 1965 if you were, well, I guess back then, unless the cops really hated you and you were white, it was a much more civilized system for whites. Much more civilized system for whites. I mean, jail's still dog poo, but you remember the old TV shows where they'd show them in jail and the sheriff would be sitting in there and the sheriff's wife would come in, she'd bring in some pie and they'd be like, what'd Andy do? Oh, you know, he was drunk last night and acted like an idiot, right? I mean, those TV shows now, when you reflect back on them, you really, like, I can't even remember, Mayberry and what was that? What was the really famous one? The sheriff. Anyway, he has son and Hobie or whatever. No, I'm thinking of Baywatch. Anyway, those TV shows back then that showed the cops and how they would give you some pie or some, you know, the missus made some cobbler last night. Do you want some of this? Like those illusions that they gave the general public, that if you got arrested, the sheriff was just sitting over there. Remember the ring of keys they had, and they could hook the keys. And so then, of course, you know, if they sold it to the people, that they could just throw a line over there and steal the keys, well, then they have to up the security of those prisons. And they just fed the American people a narrative and a lie that just isn't true. That's why that saying, you back the blue until it happens to you, is so relevant, because you have this idea of what the process is like when you're going to get arrested and go to jail. Unless you've been arrested and go to jail, you have no idea. You couldn't even fathom how poorly you're treated. You can't even imagine it. It is the worst treatment. And when you see other human beings who have eyes and 10 fingers and ears and noses and mouths, and you see how they treat you for the very first time, when they treat you like you're not a human, when you tell them these cuffs are tight, they hurt, and they go, I can get a finger through there. Dude, you will back the blue until that happens to you. And then when it happens to you once, even if you're the most understanding person ever, the way the factory, the system is inside of the dungeon, my friend, when you get acquainted with that, you're gonna find out why there's so many people who back up what we do. It's horrible. You'll back the blue and then you'll come here and you'll figure out that I've been right the whole time. The system sucks and it has to change. You can't join it and make it better. You have to go over top of it, take power of it, and change it.
See that, I'll stop. Thank you so much.
Now listen to the lawyer for the state.
Mr. Jordan.
This is you're gonna want to puke. I've already heard this.
May it please the court. I'm Wayne Jordan here on behalf of Appellee Officer Michael Schmidt, requesting this court uphold the district court's granting his motion to dismiss appellant's retaliatory arrest claim. The heart of the matter today is that appellant fails to plead that Officer Schmidt violated any clearly established right as required by the case law to overcome the qualified immunity protections. As we just heard, that he does have the burden of proof today in establishing that the right that his client had, that the right that Officer Schmidt violated was clearly established. When we look at this in the case law, clearly established as directed by Westby, says that to be clearly established, a legal principle must have to be sufficiently clear foundation by then existing precedent. The rule must be settled law, which means that it is directed by controlling authority, and that there is some robust case law to understand this.
How about the Supreme Court of the United States? Doesn't your argument require us to ignore the Neves decision?
I don't believe so, Your Honor.
Because that was just dicta.
Look at the Neves exception. It is, as he just admitted, It is dicta. It is something that is suggested. It is a hypothetical, and that it is not the controlling case. The controlling facts of the matter in Nivens would actually favor Officer Schmidt. There is some low-level conduct that is occurring. There is then after the officer.
The low-level conduct is that they stopped him on the side of the road. He's walking down the side of the road. And then it sounds from the testimony that Mason Murphy tore into his booty, that he ripped him up one side and down the other for 9 minutes straight, and the cop arrested him. That's what it sounds like.
There is some low-level conduct that is occurring. There is then after the officer then pursues that conduct, there is some that we then get into the protected right that the appellant alleges, and that the court then found that no, they are arresting them based on the actual criminal conduct, and that the rest of that is ancillary.
What criminal conduct? You're arresting someone for walking down the road. That's what he got arrested for. Atwater versus City of Lago Vista, 2001, has got to be changed. It's got to be overturned. It's got to be legislated. And it can be by executive order in a state that you cannot reasonably arrest somebody for a misdemeanor crime. It's not reasonable to arrest somebody for a misdemeanor crime. A misdemeanor infraction. I don't even want to call it a crime, because walking down the road should not be illegal.
We look at the protected conduct that is carved out as what we would consider this narrow exception. The fact pattern would not even direct the circumstances here in this case.
Well, is it fair to say the arrest was based on the failure to identify, not the initial stop? I mean, that seems fairly clear from the record, right? In other words, not from him walking on the wrong side of the road. It looks like when you look at the record, the arrest was squarely based on the failure to identify here. Is that the way you view it? I mean, that's the way I think the district court viewed it.
And I would not disagree with the district court in that assessment, that there is at least I would say the primary focus here is that it's the failure to comply with a lawful order. And that does incorporate not identifying himself. But there is, when we look at the lawful order and the initial crime that is committed, and we will again admit that walking on the wrong side of the road is why the officer stopped him. It is a lower level crime, but that is what instigated.
Listen to that. Does this make you cringe? Listen to this.
That the lawful order and the initial crime that is committed, and we will again admit that walking on the wrong side of the road is why the officer stopped him. It is a lower level crime, but that is what instigated the fact pattern here. When taking those together, Westby is controlling on that, Your Honor. And that
the fact pattern,
the evasive procedures the evasive tactics that Mr. Murphy used, coupled together with the initial illegal conduct, does give rise to a common law inference that some other criminal activity is going on. As appellant cites to the YouTube video, I believe that is part of the record, and many have reviewed it at this point, that there is at least some suggestion that
I'm sorry, there is a YouTube video. Find it.
To the YouTube video, some other criminal activity is going on. As appellant cites to the YouTube video.
I'm going to pause for 1 second. Have to find that video. I'm not going to stop the whole thing, but we have to find that video. He said a YouTube video. Where is it? Where's the YouTube video?
To a common law inference that some other criminal activity is going on. As appellant cites to the YouTube video, I believe that is part of the record, and many have reviewed it at this point, that there is
a lot of people have seen it, but we haven't seen it. God bless it.
Is at least some suggestion that something else is going on, that other criminal activity is at least at the bare minimum.
You seem to be asserting that the refusal to identify oneself creates probable cause for an arrest. Does the case law support that?
Coupled with the totality of circumstances, Your Honor. And I would not say that simply it does give rise to.
So the totality of circumstances is going to come from the 1980 case of Cortez versus United States, which is an extension or jurisprudence based on the foothold in the 1968 case called Terry versus Ohio. The totality of circumstances that he just cited right there, it's going to get locked in stone.
Just probable cause. Shepard versus Ryanberger would dispel that. But it also is not.
Unless we overturn Terry, and then it's over. Then there's no more, well, you take the totality of circumstances. He's walking down the road and there's a robbery in the area. Well, totality of circumstances.
Coupled with the totality of circumstances, Your Honor. And I would not say that simply it does give rise to just probable cause. Shepard versus Ryanberger would dispel that. But it also.
Shepard versus Ryanberger. See if that's. Let me dump that in the chat. I don't know if I don't have my glasses on. I don't know if I spelled it correct. I don't have a spell check. Someone find that case too.
Is not clearly an unlawful act, and that is.
Put those in the private comments, Colin, and I'll look in the private chat on this thing.
Your Honor. And I would not say that simply it does give rise to just probable cause. Shepard versus Ryanberger would dispel that. But it also is not clearly an unlawful act. And that is what appellant must show, is that the conduct that Officer Schmidt engaged in is clearly unlawful, so that every reasonable officer would know that his actions are unlawful, and that is the standard to defeat qualified immunity protections.
Counsel, what troubles me about this case is that we are at the pleading stage. This is not summary judgment. We're under a plausibility standard here.
Your Honor,
so he's suing before the criminal case has gone.
The case law on that I would direct towards Hess, which says that again, they do have the burden to show that there is going to be something. It's not going to just be merely consistent with that they have the right to a cause of action. They must at least be able to meet all of the elements. And as as appellant agrees, the heart of the issue today is going to be part 4 for pleading retaliatory arrest, and part 3 that he fails to even do that. And when we look at the case law, I mean, there really is.
Well, what's he missing?
He is missing the 4th element for retaliatory arrest, that he lacked probable cause or argued probable cause, and that.
So you're asking us to ignore the Neves case then?
I'm not asking to ignore the Nivens exception or the dicta in Nivens that carves out some very narrow exception. The argument here is that it still doesn't apply. The Nivens exception.
He just has to plead a plausible claim.
Correct, Your Honor. And that in the Nivens exception, it is going to be heavily fact-intensive for what the court is considering. That someone is.
Listen to this again. Did you hear this?
Dicta in Nivens.
So, I mean, the judge asks him, this is the next level. The next level is the Supreme Court. After this court, it's the Supreme Court. So.
Or argued probable cause. And that.
So you're asking us to ignore the Neves case then?
Neves, Nevins, everybody calling it something different, but here's the point. The dicta that Neil Gorsuch said in the Neves case, the dicta, this judge who's one level below the Supreme Court is saying you're ignoring what the judge said up there. So what the judge said is dicta. He said that we have to carve out an exception for jaywalking. And so he's now applying jaywalking to him walking down the side of the road. The original lawyer for Mason Murphy convinced the judge, you just heard it happen, that he's listening to the lawyer saying jaywalking and him walking on the side of the road are the same thing. So you just heard that lawyer's argument was effective and it worked. And now he's asking for the defense lawyer for Michael Schmidt if whether they're supposed to ignore what Neil Gorsuch said, that you're supposed to be able to carve out an exception.
I'm not asking to ignore the Nivens exception or the dicta in Nivens that carves out some very narrow exception. The argument here is that it still doesn't apply. The Nivens exception...
He just has to plead a plausible claim.
Correct, Your Honor. And that in the Nivens exception, it is going to be heavily fact-intensive for what the court is considering. That someone is first engaging in a protected activity, such as their First Amendment rights, and then after this, subsequently, they are arrested for something low-level as jaywalking. As appellant argues and that the Nivens exception applies, he really wants to misdirect the court that walking on the same side of the road is the same as jaywalking. That's not where the exception comes in. It comes into the factual scenarios, and he pleads himself out of court.
So going back to that issue, what specific facts here lead to probable cause?
The specific facts here that lead to probable cause, first, and this is from his petition and the brief, that while on duty, Officer Schmidt observed Murphy walking on the wrong side of the road at night or partial darkness, and then...
It's a racist law created in August of 1965 to be able to arrest blacks for walking down the road because blacks didn't have cars.
Setting that aside, I mean, I think you conceded earlier the arrest is basically based on the interaction that happens after the initial encounter. The failure to identify, and I think you said that the totality of circumstances would lead an officer to suspect something else was going on. So what specifically, in addition to the failure to identify, would lead a reasonable officer to be suspicious here to the level of probable cause?
If I'm understanding you correctly, Your Honor, then it is the facts that get towards that give rise to even having the failure to identify or giving that lawful arrest, you can see they are the same. Start with the entire reason why he stopped him, why he pulled him over. He didn't just pull him over because he thought that he was exercising some protected right. And because he is not pulling him over for exercising a protected right, that is the heart of why the Nivens exception cannot apply here. It is fact intensive, and so the only reason that he gives him he even gives him the lawful order, which again, to get out of that, we are having to do mental gymnastics to try and figure out, is this an unlawful order? That's the heart of the matter today, Your Honor. He did not clearly give him an unlawful order. He did not...
Yeah, they created a law that it's illegal to walk down the wrong side of the road.
Clearly just come after Mr. Murphy for exercising some protected right as suggested in Nivens. He didn't know who he was. He saw someone violating the law.
I guarantee you Mason Murphy is black.
Again, low level, but violate...
Let's find out. Let's find out. Let's switch gears here real quick. And News Now Ninja sent me the video, and let's take a look at the video right now. 1 second. Let me switch over here. We're going to take a break from this video, and we're going to watch. Got you, News Now. I got your text message. Thank you. I'm not going to say anything else. It was on my other phone. I have another phone. And so I appreciate that. Thank you, dude. So let's take a look. Is he black?
If we suspect a crime has been committed, will be committed.
He's going to list off a Terry stop right at the beginning of this. Do you hear that? It's a Terry stop. He's listing Terry.
If we suspect a crime has been committed, will be committed, or is being committed, we can lawfully identify you. And he believes there's crime. So
that is not what Terry versus Ohio says at all. He's white. Black laws now being applied to white kids. He's a kid. He's young.
Can lawfully detain you. So go ahead, officer. You do what you need to do.
What crime? When I asked you to vacate the scene while I talked to him, why would you do that?
Is he on your PA system?
So he's now statching Missouri. He's now quoting Missouri Code 300.080 that it's illegal to ignore the directions of a peace officer.
When I asked you to vacate the scene while I talked to him, why would you do that?
Is he on your PA system?
Probably.
I got him. I'll deal with him.
He was walking down the street. That's not illegal.
You failure to identify to me You're gonna sit there. I'm gonna make you fingerprint, and it takes about 3 months for me to get fingerprints back to find out who you are, and I will make him sit there the whole entire 3 months.
You got a supervisor? You got somebody above you? In here, you're not gonna run your mouth to me, because I'll just assume punch you on your face and then put you in that chair.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you? I don't care how mad you are when you go behind the dungeon walls. Shut up. I can't be more direct with you. Shut up. When you're behind the dungeon walls, there's no more rules. There's places in the dungeon they can take you where they will do it, or they'll have someone in the jail do it. And it won't, I'm tough as nails. I got one good fight in me. I'm going to be broken because I'm too old to fight. My body's going to break, but I got one good fight in me against one guy. I don't against 3 guys cornered in a brick wall. Neither do you. Shut up. Shut up. They'll have you go take a shower. Go to the showers. You need to clean up. You think I'm kidding? You think I'm joking? I'm not joking at all. You can, I almost get like, I feel personally like I get really unlikable. I feel like I get like I become an unlikable character when I really want to just tell you, you know, if you don't freaking listen to me, you are going to have the worst time in the dungeon. It'll be worse if you say a freaking word to those people. I have status with hundreds of thousands of people and millions of people who watch the videos. We have a team, a core team of Team DLZ. I have that. If they take me, there's going to be hundreds of phone calls. You don't have that. Shut up behind the dungeon walls. Shut your frickin' mouth. I mean it. I don't care how bad the cuffs hurt. Shut up. If the cuffs hurt after 20 or 30 minutes, politely say, "Officer, will you please loosen these cuffs a little bit?" And then shut up. Don't beg. Don't beg. Don't beg. Don't beg. You may have asked too soon. You may have requested too soon. You have to show that you are a submissive little before you just got to be, you got to just be so careful. You got to listen to me. I'm telling you, I've been to the dungeon a lot and I know the rules.
Absolutely. Would you like to do it? That's what you'll do? Absolutely. Are you? Are you? Are you suicidal? Are you?
Welcome back to the Lackluster channel. Today's story was submitted by a viewer named Mason, who was walking down the street and pulled over in Missouri. Officer Schmidt of the Sunrise Beach Police Department noticed him and pulled over to, quote, check his safety. The CAD report claims that Mason was possibly intoxicated, with Officer Schmidt later stating that he was stumbling down the road. Note that Mason is only 20 years old and does not consume alcoholic beverages or narcotics, and was not under the influence. Sunrise Beach PD is refusing to release Officer Schmidt's body cam footage, but while on scene, he requested backup, and Officer Shoemate of the Lorry Police Department arrived on scene about 6 minutes later, activating his body cam a minute and a half after his arrival.
Are you intoxicated? No. You've got the smell of odor on you, okay? Committed a crime. In the state of Missouri, in the state of Missouri, time out. Okay, this is how this is going to go. If we suspect a crime has been committed, will be committed, or is being committed, we can lawfully identify you. And he believes there's crime, so we can lawfully detain you. So go ahead, officer. You do what you need to do.
What crime? What crime has been committed?
Don't pull away from him.
Well, I'm not. What crime has been committed? What's your name and badge number? What is your name?
And she said you were in a silver car.
You have to identify yourself.
Yeah, she's in a silver car.
What?
Wow, he's being kidnapped and they won't tell them his name. They won't identify themselves.
Run up there and see if you can
What's your name and badge number? Yo, you have to identify yourself.
Mason is taken into custody, and while Officer Schmidt is accurate with his definition of reasonable suspicion, his articulation of his suspicion leaves something to be desired. The video starts with the officer stating that Mason has, quote, the smell of odor.
You've got the smell of odor on you, okay?
We can reasonably assume that he meant Mason smelled like alcohol, an assumption that is contradicted by both officers later in this video, as they both admit neither of them smelled anything.
I didn't ever get close enough there.
The current reason for Mason's arrest is failure to ID, which is a secondary charge if a suspect refuses to identify after having been lawfully arrested. But with the officers both admitting that neither suspect him of being intoxicated, arresting Mason for not providing his name is a blatant violation of his Fourth Amendment rights. Mason's girlfriend was at the scene prior to the body cam footage starting, and was told to leave, and now that Mason has been cuffed and detained in Officer Schmidt's vehicle, they convoy to her vehicle up the road.
So, you know, this is the whole reason why. This is the whole reason why I've created the Fifth Amendment card. I have a card now that goes in your wallet. I can show it to you. The draft is done. It's just about to be finalized. I have a Fifth Amendment card that goes in your wallet. And when you get them, you get two of them. You don't get one, you get two. You get one for you, and you get one for the cop. And you give the one to the cop, it's the same size as your ID. It goes right next to your wallet. And you have two cards. And the cop stops you. He says, give me some ID. You open up your wallet and you give him that Fifth Amendment card. And you say, I plead the Fifth Amendment. And then if he says, you have to ID, it's numbered. If you're sober and normal, you just read it. Number 4, unless there's probable cause to arrest me, I don't have to ID. Hibble versus United States. I must identify. Identify as good citizen. It says right there. He sees the same card you're reading. He can't question you any further. You know it from the clearly established clause that you've asserted your Fifth Amendment right, and that he should know that your Fifth Amendment right is constitutional. So, you know, listen, if you guys don't have my trifold, you should have my trifold. It goes up here in your visor. Cop pulls you over. You got this like this. You slip him your ID, your registration, proof of insurance. You've got to have the trifold in your car. You have to have it. You have got to have it. Because right on the trifold, it says right away, I'm sorry, I don't have one. I gave the last one away. I ordered more. I gave away like a dozen in like 3 weeks, I guess. 3 weeks. I gave away a dozen. Because as soon as I meet people, especially when I meet tall, big black guys, unfortunately for me, the statistics that I know, I almost always have to give a gigantic black guy my trifold. And then I literally annoy the guy with, you have got to listen to me. You got to hear me. The old way was, why did you pull me over? No, my ninja. Not for you. I might be able to get away with that a little bit, even if I'm just John Q. Citizen and I don't know my rights. Hey, why'd you pull me over? If I'm really amicable and nice, hey, officer, how are you? Was there a problem back there? Yeah, you were speeding. Oh, you know, I thought I was doing the speed limit. I'm sorry, officer. Here's my license, registration, and proof of insurance. Okay, Mr. DeCastro. I can get away with that. I'm white-skinned with green eyes. You know, maybe the next time I get pulled over, I'll try one of the Johnny Good guys. Oh, hello, officer. Is there a problem? Could you guys see me doing that? That would just be. All right. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Let's get back to what they do to Mason.
How are you? Doing well. Got an officer that's going to come talk to you, okay?
Okay, what?
A couple different things, okay? Disobeying a lawful order, okay? If he tells you to move on, that means move on, okay?
I did.
Which is illegal. He said he told you a couple times. So I'm going to have this officer come talk to you and we'll determine what's going on from there, okay?
I just came to the side of the road because that's my boyfriend. Okay. Just wanted to see what was going on.
Now, when I asked you to vacate the
Tesh Lines versus Danforth. She has every right to stop where it's safe for her to stop.
scene while I talked to him, he refused. Why would you do that?
Is he on your PA system?
Probably.
I'll get him. I got him. I'll deal with him.
I'll deal with him. He's a public servant. He's supposed to serve the public. Instead, he's a jackboot thug pig. Put that in the comment section. JBTP.
Officer Schmidt, Lord PD. Yep.
What's your
Hold on 1 second. 3:30.
Could you just imagine yourself, though? You're walking down the road and they come up and demand your ID and then arrest you? That's crazy.
You wicked area. 330, brother.
These guys are tyrants. What a pig. I mean, really, what a pig. They're actually going to arrest him. That's crazy, for walking down the road, and they didn't even know what they were arresting him for to begin with. That's why the case we're listening to right now, they say you don't have to have probable cause. You can just arrest him. Find out later.
What's your ID?
I don't have my ID.
Okay, well, you give me your info.
On my person.
Social. You need a pen.
Social security number. They want her social security number.
Taylor, Sim, SEMB,
I'd love to talk to her.
SEMD?
MB. He was walking down the street. That's not illegal.
Despite the fact that Taylor was blocks away at this point, they are asking her for her ID for failing to move on.
So here's a little bit of word of advice.
That's a violation of Missouri statute 300.080. You have to comply to the directions of a peace officer.
For you, and when he gets out, because he's being a lot nicer than I would in this situation. Okay, you failure to identify to me, you're gonna sit there. I'm gonna make you fingerprint, and it takes about 3 months for me to get fingerprints back to find out who you are, and I will make him sit there the whole entire 3 months. Okay, for one, if that officer believes he's been drinking, he's walking down the road, it is actually a crime. It's public intoxication, and it's a safety of himself. I'm just telling you right now. Okay.
I know what
Okay.
public intoxication
Okay.
is.
It is a crime. Okay. If he believes there's crime being committed, has been committed, or will be committed, he
Terry?
has the right to identify anybody in the state of Missouri. Okay.
No.
And if that officer believes so, he has full identification. With him failure to do
No.
that, if it was me,
No.
your boyfriend would be sitting in jail till I get his fingerprints back in 3 months.
So I'm so happy this is happening. I'm not happy this is happening. I'm so happy this is happening that we all get to see and hear how they've been treating people for years and years and years. And to the black community, they've known this for a really long time. You find an old black guy, he hates cops. He saw the beatings. He was there. You know, when you could just do whatever the hell you wanted, there was no cameras back in the 80s. They hate them. They hate them as much as the people in this room hate cops. Now, when people say I'm mean to cops, just remember that almost every cop, because power is this drug, it's intoxicating, just takes you over. This is why we have such crappy leaders. They're not leaders, they're elitists. I'm going to lose myself here. Let's go back to the tyranny this guy's doing.
Mason has still not identified himself, and it sounds as though Officer Schmidt said that he would use his perceived power to jail him for up to 3 months while waiting to identify him if he were the arresting officer, claiming that if an officer believed that Mason was intoxicated, that it's a crime. In a moment, both officers admit that they do not smell alcohol, and do neither field sobriety tests or blood alcohol tests to verify whether or not they could arrest him for public intoxication. However, Revised Statute of Missouri 67.305 explicitly states that counties or cities are not to arrest or punish for public intoxication. Dealing with an intoxicated subject is further outlined in 67.315. It states that a person who appears to be intoxicated may be taken by a peace officer to the person's residence, treatment service, or jail for custody not to exceed 12 hours. Of course, the statute also grants officers immunity from prosecution for false arrest if the officer has reasonable grounds to believe the person is intoxicated. So at this point, the only question is whether the officers reasonably believe that Mason is intoxicated and what grounds they make for their claim. Let's hear from the officers themselves.
I didn't never get close enough to him. I can go talk to him though if you want. See if I can get him to calm down a little bit. But that's up to you.
Both officers have now admitted on video that neither of them have reasonable grounds to hold Mason for public intoxication other than Officer Schmidt, claiming that he stumbled a little bit while walking down the side of a dark, windy road in the middle of Ozarks in sandals. Taylor is released, and Mason is transported to Camden County Jail for public intoxication and failure to ID. The audio is difficult to pick up, but I have done my best to caption important parts. Note that Mason has still not identified himself.
I'd explain to him first what would happen if he don't comply. The 3 months sitting in jail.
Listen to me.
What do you do?
Just run his mouth.
Okay. That'll work.
What crime did I commit? Did you tell me what crime I committed? I told you. You didn't? No. Okay, well, what? Shut your mouth and listen. You know by now. All right, I'm sorry. What crime did I commit? What did I do? You can't tell me? You're going to stand up so you can... Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'm going to pull one you now, okay?
Mason's personal belongings are taken and stowed in this box. This paper was released through a public records request. It is a 12-hour hold form with revised statute 67.3.
12-hour hold form. You can be held for 12 hours on a 12-hour hold form.
315 is a header. The officer's reasonable...
Officer granted immunity from legal action when a person appears to be incapacitated or intoxicated, may be taken by a peace officer to the person's residence, to any available treatment center, or to any other appropriate
grounds for the public intoxication 12-hour hold is, quote, refused to identify, walking down highway while possibly intoxicated. At this...
Wow. So they're holding him for 12 hours because he's possibly intoxicated. And the cop's immune from anything he does.
It's a 12-hour hold form with revised statute 67.315 as a header. The officer's reasonable grounds for the public intoxication 12-hour hold is, quote, refused to identify, walking down highway while possibly intoxicated. At this point, there is still walking.
That's in an actual report. Why possibly intoxicated, but he wasn't.
Down highway while possibly intoxicated. At this point, there is still absolutely no evidence to substantiate the claim of the officer, and like a good patriot, Mason has still refused to identify.
You got a supervisor? You got somebody above you? Okay. Can I ask you a question? What do you need to force somebody to identify themselves? What are you talking about? So like say I'm walking on the side of the road. Anything that happens to you out there with them, no, I understand. I'm asking you a question. You're a cop. How long are you cop? You're not, what are you? Oh, okay, but what am I even talking to you? You know, you're right there. We don't know. You asked me. Well, you should have identified yourself. Really? You rest her off a little bit, right? What did you say? I rest her off a little bit, right quick. I'm not playing your little bullshit game. I'm not playing any fucking games. You can throw games you want to use. In here, you're not going to run your mouth to me, because I'll just assume punch you on your face and then put you in that chair. You'll punch me in my face. Absolutely. Would you like, can you do it? That's what you'll do? Absolutely. You keep running your mouth to me? Is this all there's 15 cameras in here, and they all have audio. And you're threatening to punch me? Absolutely. Absolutely. Why? Because I can do that. You can't.
Yes.
I just did it, right?
That's normal. This is normal.
Are you going to identify yourself with this officer or not? Well, if I do, then what happens? I don't know. What do you get on? What does he have on? Well, I'll explain to you again. I'm going to tell you if you or shut up. Well, no, I don't need to shut up.
Oh my God, did you just hear it?
What do you get on? What does he have on?
What does he have on me? And then they tell him to shut up.
Hey, look, I'll explain to you again. I'm going to tell you if you or shut up. Well, no, I don't need to shut up. Go ahead and put him on 12 when you want to 12. That's fine. Okay.
You heard that right. This coward, Jerry Pedigo, is not only believed to be the supervisor of the Camden County Jail, he also operates the facility with impunity and disregard for the safety of his inmates, as he threatens to attack Mason for asking questions related to his detention. State official. Citizen. Asks a question. Threatens with violence. Knows he's on audio and visual recording. If that isn't an egregious violation of Mason's First Amendment rights and a disgrace to the authority bestowed upon this official, I don't know what is. Imagine if the cameras weren't there. Note that Mason has still not identified.
I'll sit here indefinitely until I get my fingerprints. You think that's how that works? We won't put on here. John Doe? Yeah, so you don't even say your name, Justin? Huh? You don't even post your name, Well, if I do, am I free to go? Yes, you are. And you're very good, right? I already brought you down here, so we didn't think. So what happens after I'm free to go? If we want to have it after, what's it done? So you did all this because what?
They did all of this because they believe they can get away with it. Here, Officer Schmidt tells Mason that if he identifies, he would be free to go, proving that the officer had no reason to believe that Mason was intoxicated, and that the 12-hour hold was retaliation for flexing his Fourth Amendment right to be secure in his person, papers, and effects.
What's your first name? Spell it correctly on the plate, right? What's your, oh, I won't be making. So, is it shoot? So now won't be making it first,
Threats?
No, I'm not threatening you. If I was threatening you, then you would know. Okay. I don't make threats, Judge. I don't make threats. All right. What's your date of birth? What's your date of birth? Do you have any money on you right now? Yeah, I do. How much? I don't know. You can count it if you want. All right. Are you on anything? Are you? Okay. Are you over? Are you? Are you on your influence of alcohol or drugs? Are you? Are you suicidal? Are you?
The officer eventually claims that Mason was walking on the wrong side of the road almost an hour after making contact. However, no charges were filed, and Mason was set free after about an hour and a half in a cell. Mason was locked up at 10:01 p.m. and had still not identified. The CAD report shows that just 5 minutes after being locked in his cell, that his name was entered into the system. It is likely that the officers found his ID and his personal effects, taken from him earlier in the video, which I have obviously edited, but luckily you can see the full version, or at least what the departments involved have elected to release to us, in the links below. The officers claim that this was all for his safety.
I don't see the link for the Mason's GoFundMe. I don't see it. All right. Alrighty. So now the cool thing about this live stream is I don't watch that channel, so I didn't know that that was on the. I didn't know that Mason's story was on that channel. So now we saw the video, and now you guys know it went to court and Mason lost. It went to federal court and Mason lost at federal court. You guys just saw the video. You guys, I mean, you saw that guy's presentation of that body cam and all that stuff. We can find the links another time. We can look at it, but you guys just saw it. You guys just saw the video. And then the court said, that's okay. They can arrest him without any probable cause for walking down the street. And then after the fact say, oh, look, we found probable cause. He was walking on the wrong side of the road, created for blacks in 1965. That's why I put this, before I did this talk with you guys, and, only like 5,000 or 10,000 people will see this, but for the 5,000 or 10,000 people who see this, this is probably one of the most informative and educational videos that we've ever made, where you can, the good part was that we went through the court case first, and then we saw Mason's story as it was presented. And so now we have a picture, and now you guys know that Mason just lost, that he just lost at federal court. His next step is certiorari to the Supreme Court. And there was so much to learn on this particular live stream. And I'm just so grateful that we got to go over every bit of this. And that's where we are. They ruled against him. We heard enough of the oral arguments. We pretty much heard their arguments in the first go. And like, this is the reason why I'm running for governor and why I'm going to win the governorship. I haven't even started. I'm going to teach constitutional law scholar, and then people will understand where liberty comes from, what the foundational principles of this country were based on, and what the cultural context of each and every century, each decade, each year, each presidency, when you study history as much as I did, because remember, I wasn't on broadcast for 20 years. I was just reading and watching. And so when you guys understand the foundation of America, when you understand the base of this country, and what the founding fathers intended freedom to be, then it's going to just blow you away. It's going to set you back in your seat. You're going to be like, so unfortunately, we got to switch gears real quick because I got to take you to this video. Cocoa PD made a post on Facebook saying they're looking into the case in Cocoa. Oh, is that right? No way. So, I'll show this in 1 second. So just so you guys know, we have some audio. So for I Am God, put that comment back up there, will you, Colin? So just so you guys know, I Am God, he, if his lawsuit comes out, I think that they're going to, I don't know what, they're looking into the Cocoa. Okay. So I called up Cocoa PD. I don't know if you know this or not. I Am God handle. So I called up Cocoa PD, and after I saw your video, I was so pissed. I was so raging pissed off after watching your video. So angry, dude, that I had been, because I'm not sure if you guys know, but I work in like 20-hour blocks. I'm trying to be better, and I'm trying to get more sleep, but there's only so many hours in my life, and I don't know how long I'm going to live. And so I want to get as much done as I can. So I called up Cocoa PD, and I got this guy on the phone, and he and I had the most candid conversation you've ever heard. I'll let you guys know his name. I mean, the guy I talked to, if you want to believe in people like me, I like to believe in somebody. You know, you guys see me do it. I invest in people. I take this channel and I raise money for individual people who are in the worst of positions. And I got on the phone with this cop, and I'm telling you, I called up and I was ready to lay some leather until they hung up on me, right? And I called this cop at Cocoa PD, and he has an hour and 20-minute conversation with me. And Colin, DLZ Clips, Colin runs DLZ Clips. He's down there in my chat box. He's right now cutting together the audio so that we can let you guys see somebody who, this guy is affable. He's likable. And let me just tell you, you know how I am. I am unrelenting. I go right in. When I get a cop and I get to go and I get to have that back and forth with the cop, I want to have that conversation. And this freaking cop stayed on the phone with me for an hour and 20 minutes. I Am God handle. So dude, Colin, how close are you to having that audio the first 10 minutes? Because we're going to put it out in 10-minute chunks, just because there's so much here. It is so good. And if Colin cuts together a good promo for that with because I let him talk, and then I just zing him. I mean, I let him talk, and then I go, well, what about, and then he answers me. Most cops would hang up the phone, but not this cop. He didn't. And I gave him my best shots. I mean, the conversation is woo. Okay. So I am the handle I Am God. I'm excited to share that with you. Sorry to hear that, Dan. I'm not sure if you know or not, but this channel is shadow banned. You guys should see the statistics. It's really bad. The statistics on a pie chart or on the graph are like this. It's just so crazy. It is what it is, baby. We don't stop. No matter what. I'm not stopping. They deleted my TikTok account. 150,000 subs on TikTok, and they deleted my TikTok account. They took the whole account down. So We're right over the target, baby. The trifold is working. They deleted my TikTok account because the emails I'm getting from black guys who are telling me I used the trifold and it worked. From people, I mean, black dudes. I'm telling you, I give away, every time I have trifolds, I give them to black dudes. I do. I know the statistics. You black dudes, shut your freaking mouth, plead the fifth. The old way was why'd you pull me over? That starts the confrontation. They created a term to kill you called reaching. There it is right there. Boom, you're dead. He was reaching. Now, even if it's on camera, you got a dash cam and it shows he murdered you and the cop gets prosecuted, he goes to jail for 20 years. You're dead. You're dead. You got to have your trifold up here. You got to get your laminated copy of your driver's license. And by the way, you got your real license right there too. Don't be afraid to just give that copper your real license. Who gives a flock? When you got pulled over, you agreed by driving the car, have your driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance. You agreed. I don't like the driver's license scam. I don't like the DMV scam. But that's the deal, or you're going to jail, okay? You got your license, registration, proof of insurance up there like I got you. I sent you the rubber band with it. It goes rubber banded on your visor. It goes rubber banded on your visor. That's where it goes. And your license, registration, your proof of insurance, everything is in that. It's in that visor, whether it's laminated or not. Your documents are in your visor. Your hands go like this. The other hand is recording. Your hands are never reaching. You're never reaching, bro. You are never freaking reaching. That's not happening. It couldn't. The camera is going to pick up that my hand was right here with my documents that I slid out of my visor. I got it on camera. My hands never got to reach. I don't got to get my insurance out of my glove box. Bang, you're dead. You do not reach anywhere. You are right there, baby. You reach up, you grab your trifold. It's got your license, registration, and proof of insurance in it. And you slip it right to him. You give him that license, and then he says, do you know how fast you were going? You know I'm pulling you over? I'm pulling you over for section 4827189 to pull you blacks over, to pull you poor people over, to pull you poor whites over, to pull you brown people over, to pull you over. And so I'm going to say the statute to you. And what are you going to say to me? Show the camera to the trifold. I plead the Fifth Amendment. And you're not going to say any more words. That's it. That's it. That's all you say. That's it. Says you step out of the car. It's in the trifold. You just step out. Okay. Lock the doors. Shut them. That's it. He can't question you. He can't ask you if there's any drugs in the glove box. He can't ask you to look in your trunk. He can't ask you. If he says, can I look in your trunk? He's violating my Fifth Amendment right and asking me questions without my attorney present. He's violating an established, clearly established prong of government. Clearly established Fifth Amendment. He's violating my rights by asking me questions. He's asking me to open my trunk. You're violating my rights, bro. It's on camera. You can't question me without my attorney here. Do you see how powerful the Fifth Amendment is? That's what you do, poor white dude who doesn't drive a Mercedes XL4 82719er. That's what you do, poor white guy. That's what you do. You got the trifold up in your visor, brah. That's how you do it. And you slip your right there, give him everything that you're required to give by law, and then you put the Fifth Amendment in his face. And if he says anything to you further, you say, look right in your phone. You say, he's questioning me without my attorney present after I've pled the Fifth Amendment. This goes around his qualified immunity. The Fifth Amendment card has it on there. It's already written on there. You give him one, you keep one. I can't be more adamant about this. Middle-class white lady. I can't. Middle-class Mexican. Great big huge black guy. Bang! You reached. Sorry, brah. I hate to say it. The numbers are unbelievable. How many blacks are killed compared to every other race. I got the Fifth Amendment card. Until I get this Until I get this fixed, I'm going to leak water. This is the worst. All right, you guys want to watch some police brutality here? Huh? You know what? I'm not gonna, you know that? I'm not going to watch any police brutality. I've been on here for over 2 hours, and more than that, I don't want this stream to get demonetized. I want people to watch this. And when so just so you know, when they demonetize a stream, they take it completely out of circulation. YouTube's not making any money off of it. They're not going to put that in circulation. There's a lot of videos they can put in circulation that are monetized. YouTube, they want the money, Lebowski. So every video that I make that gets demonetized, they just pull it right out of circulation. That could be at DLZ Clips, why the statistics are just straight down like this for the last like month, because we showed all those videos of people getting cuckoo by the coppers. That's why. That's why. I'm excited to bring you guys Constitutional Law Scholar. You guys are going to be, when you understand the depth of knowledge that I'm going to teach, you're going to understand the real unedited history of the United States. And just like the law in Murphy that was created for black folks, you're going to see that all the laws were created for black folks. All the laws that crush us were created for black folks. Besides the drug laws, those were created for big business. It was created for DuPont, and I'm going to go down the whole freaking line with you guys. You have no idea. Well, you know what? To the dude in Coco, let's talk about that. I am God. Handle I am God. He is that violent? Was that violent? Hey, Colin, drop me that link. Drop me that link for the I am God video real quick. And we'll show, because I don't think that's violent. I don't think there's any violence in that. I think it just shows him getting arrested. And it made my blood boil. I mean, just made my blood boil. And that made me call him. And then I talked to him for an hour and 20 minutes. This video is so good. That's not the link, Colin. You're fired, dude. Come on, give me the link. Okay. He's having internet issues. It's flashing in and off. Yeah, I see that. Oh, I don't got any text from you, dude. All right. I know where it is. I will, or, who can send me that is the originator of the news. The guy who goes by the handle I am God. Let me look on my YouTube page here real quick and see if he dropped me that link real quick. Like, I'm afraid to show anything because I don't want the stream to be taken out of circulation. All right. Can't seem to get it together over here. I'm going to get the flock out of here. It's been 2 hours anyway. I got other stuff I got to do. Now, you're not sending me anything, bro. There's nothing in my text message, so there's nothing there, dude. Anyway, let me read some names. Yeah, if you put the link on Facebook, put it on the YouTube chat. I don't have it. Send me that link. I post. Yeah, there's no Colin's down there, but there's no link from you in my box, Colin. Sorry, dude. I'm looking at my signal. There's no link from you. I'm just telling you. You can show me your phone all you want. There's no link. Maybe I am God will be able to put it in the chat. Here, let me go to my channel real quick here. There it is. Now I'm now I mean like 5 minutes later. Yeah. I got it. Let me pause that and let me share the screen with you. Painful. Just painful.
We understand that there's a group of individuals that feel that they don't have to abide by the laws. Okay, they feel that there's constitutional rights and all this other stuff. We understand that.
Have you understood any of this yet?
Basically, yeah, you guys are going to arrest me if I don't provide you ID when you ask for it.
Yeah.
I think he just feels that we have to tell him why we're stopping.
After the false arrest that was made by Sergeant Amy Moon of Brevard County, Cocoa Beach, Florida, we discover in her charging affidavit that she was dispatched because someone called about their suspicion that the suspect was at a lake with possible underage women, and were also suspicious of possible drug activity. On the scene, however, Sergeant Amy Moon identifies both women as being in their 30s. No drug activity was afoot, and no contraband was found in her illegal search of the vehicle before Amy Moon illegally impounded it.
What you doing, guys? Come down off the top of the van. Come down so I can talk to you. I can't hear you. Come down so I can hear you.
Are you suspecting a crime has been committed?
Yes. Come down here so I can talk to you.
Let me know what crime that is.
Come down here. You too, ma'am. Do you have your ID on you, sir?
What crime do you suspect has been committed?
Do you have your ID? I will gladly talk to you. Do you have your ID on you?
If you let me know what crime has been committed, I'll be happy to show you my ID.
Okay, that's not how this works. Ma'am, come out of the van. Don't go inside the van.
What crime do you suspect has been
Okay, tell you what. Have a seat. Have a seat. We're not going to do this. Have a seat.
You can arrest me if you'd like.
I don't want to arrest you,
Well, if
okay?
there's been a crime,
We don't need to make it
why are you
difficult.
harassing us?
Have a seat so I can watch you safely.
Ma'am, unless there's been a crime that you're suspecting.
Have a seat.
Should I take your supervisor?
I am the supervisor. Have a seat.
Listen, you have no reason to be ordering me around if there's no crime that's been committed.
Have a seat so I can talk to everybody safely.
Unless you can tell me what crime you're suspecting, I don't have to listen to a damn thing you're telling me.
I mean, look at that. He just straight up submits. Just straight submits.
All right. Keep your hands out of your pocket. Have a seat. Have a seat.
What are you arresting me for?
You're not under arrest, but if you don't want
Under
to,
arrest?
if you don't want to listen,
Not under arrest. If I can't go freely, it's called being under arrest.
have a seat. Coco, 1 to 10. Stand at the van.
I mean, so did you just see it? I mean, this is insane. This is so insane. So I want to break this down piece by piece. I'm going to focus on what I'm doing here. So he's up on top of his van. He's up there, I think, chilling with his chick, whoever he's with. It doesn't matter.
Come down off the top of the van.
Okay, so first of all, he's just up there chilling, sitting on top of a van, having a nice night. Looks like the clouds. Look how beautiful it is. Look at the clouds. Look at it all. Look how gorgeous this is. He's having a nice day. Up on top of the van with his chick.
What you doing, guys? Come down off the top of the van.
Hold on. That's not a lawful order. I'm a constitutional law scholar. That's not a lawful order. You have no reasonable articulable suspicion of a crime of any kind. You walked up on the scene. You can, as a reasonable person, can say, I see no crime happening here.
Come down so I can talk to you.
He has to jump down 8 feet. He doesn't have to get down there and talk to you. This is why I came out with the Fifth Amendment card. This is why I created this card. It's taken a long time, but I created it.
I can't hear you. Come down so I can hear you.
Why does he have to come down? Look how big of a jump that is.
Are you suspecting a crime has been committed?
Yes. Come down here so I can talk to you.
Let me know what crime that is.
Come down here.
You should have pleaded the Fifth Amendment right away. Right away, plead the Fifth Amendment. As soon as you say, do you suspect me of a crime? Yes. Then I plead the Fifth Amendment and comply with nothing further unless she's going to put you in handcuffs.
You too, ma'am.
You don't do anything. You plead the Fifth Amendment and sit there. If there's enough reasons to jump up on top of that van and arrest you, she will.
ID on you, sir?
What crime do you suspect has been committed?
Do you have your ID? I will gladly talk to you. Do you have your ID on you?
So,
if you let me know what crime.
So that was the old way. Just so you guys know, I don't want to mess up the story too much. That was the old way. What crime do you suspect me of committing? And now I'm going to litigate this with you right here of what you're just calling me, saying, no, it's not working. Prisons are packed. Jails are slammed. That's not working anymore. That is not working. You don't do that game anymore. I am, the guy who goes by, you got to change your handle, dude. I can't say that. So whatever. But the point is the guy who has that handle called I am God. It's you don't get in the back and forth with the cops. Do you suspect me of committing a crime? Yes. I plead the Fifth Amendment. That fast. And then don't do anything. Don't if she's going to arrest you, she's going to arrest you, but you plead the Fifth. There's nothing more to say. There's absolutely nothing more to say. But that was the old way we used to do it. I agree. This guy, the way he did it is the way we've done it for years and years and years. Well, what crime do you, am I being detained or am I free to go? Once that cop closes in on you, you've been detained. I plead the Fifth Amendment. There's nothing more to say. There's nothing you're going to say. And then that stops the questioning. That stops all the questioning. I plead the Fifth Amendment. We got to get to that space.
Committed. I'll be happy to show you mine.
Okay, that's not how this works. Ma'am, come out of the van. Don't go in.
Did you hear that?
What crime do you suspect has been committed?
Do you have your ID? I will gladly talk to you. Do you have your ID on you?
If you let me know what crime has been committed, I'll be happy to show you mine.
Okay, that's not how this works. Ma'am, come out of the van. Don't go inside the van.
What crime do you suspect has been committed?
Okay, tell you what. Have a seat.
What?
Have a seat. We're not going to do this.
Have a seat? Sit on the ground? Well, I haven't done anything though. But do you hear what she said here?
That's not how this works.
That's not how this works. She said, tell me the crime. And she says, that's not how this works.
Do you have your ID on you?
If you let me know what crime has been committed, I'll be happy to show you mine.
Okay.
Now listen to what she says.
That's not how this works. Ma'am, come out of the van.
I don't have to tell you the crime. You got to give me your ID. That's how this works.
Don't go inside the van.
What crime do you suspect has been
Okay, tell you what. Have a seat. Have a seat. We're not going to do this. Have a seat.
You can arrest me if you'd like.
I don't want to arrest you,
Well,
okay?
if there's been a crime,
We don't need to make it
why are
difficult.
you harassing us?
Have a seat so I can watch you safely.
Ma'am, unless there's been a crime that you're suspecting.
Have a seat.
Can I speak to your supervisor?
I am the supervisor. Have a
That's the worst one, isn't it? I am the supervisor. That is the worst one. That to me is just makes me want to vomit. I am the supervisor.
seat.
Listen, you have no reason to be ordering me around if there's no crime that's been committed.
Have a seat.
And he's right. He's 100% right. But I would just plead the Fifth and not comply to anything. And if they're going to grab me and arrest me, do it. I'm recording it. So you're just going to grab me and arrest me after I pled the Fifth Amendment? Okay. I have nothing more to say anyway. You're just going to arrest me.
So I can talk to everybody.
I mean, so just, I mean, and this guy in the video, I have no, I mean, of course, I mean, I got nothing but love for you, bro. And this is the way we used to think that we did. This video is several years old, but this is the way we used to do it, and he's doing everything according to the way we used to do it. Right. But now the empirical data shows us that really that's just, if you start the back and forth with the cop, now she feels intimidated by you and needs you to sit on the ground for her to feel safe. And if you don't sit on the ground, well,
safely.
Unless you can tell me what crime you're suspecting, I don't have to listen to what damn thing you're telling me.
he didn't comply. He didn't comply. So you got to go in torture cuffs. And someone, look how willing to submit this gentleman is. Look how willing to submit. He doesn't want to fight. Looks peace, love, and kumbaya is the guy he looks like to me with the beads in the hair, right? And he followed all the rules according to how we used to do them. Now you plead the Fifth. Look how well it works out. Look, I mean, look, I want, I got nothing but love for this guy that this happened to. I nothing but empathy, and I called up that police station when I saw this video, and I tore the guy a new a-hole. But I'll tell you what, the audio of it is gold. God, I wish we should have saved this. And then, you know what, we'll cover it again because the audio is so good. I can't wait for you guys to hear this. All right, listen, I got to get the flock out of here. I'm not going to show any police videos. I guess I lied. Oh, I feel so bad. I feel so bad. But I don't want YouTube to screw up the stream because I want people to learn the data that was in the beginning. Yo, bro, I will cover your video again when Colin is done with the audio, which should be soon. He's already been working on it, so it's almost done. And the audio of me calling the police station. And so now they're saying on Facebook, where is that on Facebook? You know what? Let's take a look at that real quick. I will take a look at I have a Facebook page, and so it's got to be the Cocoa Beach Police Department. I'm just looking up the page real quick. Oh, it's the Cocoa Police Department, not the Cocoa Beach Police Department. It's the Cocoa Police Department. Close now. Okay, I got the page pulled up here. Let me share this page with you. So here it is. Let's see if they address. Let me see what you guys can see real quick. Okay, let me open it big for you guys. So the Cocoa Police Department has been informed of alleged misconduct involving supervisors dating back to 2016. Though allegations and I'm not sure what's wrong with that. I can't see all the oh there it is. I'm so sorry. So the Cocoa Police Department has been informed of alleged misconduct involving one of our supervisors dating back to 2016. We are currently in the process of thoroughly examining the allegations and supportive evidence, and we will take the appropriate actions based on the outcome of our investigation. So, but how can I can't post, that's great, but how can I post the link? There's no way to post the link. I want to post the link so they can see it. Cocoa. Oh, what's the deal? Like, I mean, what are you talking about? I want to post the link. What is the frickin' deal? I'm so why can't I post the link? God bless America. I mean, what are we doing here? What's the point in having a Facebook page if I can't post?
Calling the City of Cocoa Police Department. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. Please stay with me so I can assist you in getting the service you need. If you know your party's extension, please dial it at any time. Please be aware this call may be monitored for quality assurance. For the employee directory, please press 1. For the division listing, please press 2. For public service announcements, please press 3. To report a crime, suspicious activity, or for any police assistance, you may come to the police department in person or press 4 to speak with an operator. After hours utilities, please. Cocoa Police, I'm Scotus. This is Charlotte. How can I help you?
Hi, Charlotte. My name is ChilleDeCastro. I'm a journalist. All my calls are recorded. But I just want to ask a question here about my First Amendment right on your Facebook page. You know, I went on your Facebook page to post a redress of my government, and the Cocoa Police Department only shares and doesn't allow me to comment on the, well, how, I mean,
that would actually be something for our PIO. I don't have any I don't have any knowledge on how they run the Facebook page or any of the media, but the PIO is responsible for that. What I can do is put you over to the voicemail. I wish I had answers for you, but I don't. unfortunately.
You gotta be
That's all
kidding
I
me.
feel.
I mean, what do
I
you
don't
think, though, Charlotte? What do you think? I mean, what's the
Sir,
point?
I have no.
You don't have it.
I
What? You're
I
not
don't have
American?
any. I don't. Sir, I am American.
I'm American.
However, I don't have Facebook.
It's my right
I
to.
don't have social media, and I don't know what's going on that level.
It's,
And
what do you mean you don't
I
have social
wish I could
media?
tell you,
Oh,
I'm not on social media.
that's pretty
Sir, I'm
amazing.
not on social media.
Oh, I'm a nationally known journalist, activist, and I just don't understand though. Listen, social media though is the public square now, and I'm a journalist. I have thousands of videos. I mean, I don't understand why I can't say something on this page.
Well,
What's the deal?
I understand your frustration, but I don't have the answer for you. But I do know somebody that does.
Who?
And I would have to transfer the public information officer that's responsible for those things.
What, can I ask
So
you a
what I
question
can
though?
do is
Let me
I
ask.
can
Let me ask you this. You don't. I'm no. You don't think that the freedom to be able to have speech is important?
Absolutely.
Well, then they're
However, I don't have any of the answers that you're looking for. I don't know if it's a glitch in the system. I don't know what happened. That's something.
Oh no! They purposely.
Officer.
I'm sorry. I didn't go ahead. I'm sorry. I
don't
didn't
know.
interrupt you. I'm sorry.
I wish I understood. I don't know what happened. I don't know if there was so much inundation that all of a sudden the system jerked out or freaked out. There's millions of reasons that can happen with computers, and I don't have that answer, and she may not even be aware of it. So if I transfer you over to her voicemail, leave her a voicemail, when she comes in, she'll be able to contact you and give you. And
Well, what's
if
her name?
aware,
What's her name though, Charlotte? What's her name?
her name is going to be Yvonne.
Yvonne. And you know, Facebook is this like really user-friendly platform, or it used to be, and it still pretty much is. And you can make it just really easily by going to your control panel and clicking turn off comments. Don't allow any comments. And what's her name again? Was what? Yvonne. Yvonne did is Yvonne went into the panel and she turned off the ability. I can share it, I can like it, but I'm not allowed to say anything about what they're posting. I'm not allowed to have any sort of input at all with my government. And it's my First Amendment right to have speech. And essentially what Yvonne has done is cut off my right to have speech. So can I just be specific? Let me tell you specifically what happened. So because I told you in the beginning what I do, I showed a video of the Cocoa Beach Police Department of a cop there named Amy. And she violated this guy's rights so bad in 2016. So I showed the video on my channel, which is a really big channel. And a lot of people saw it. And so then I went to the Cocoa Beach Police Department page and it said statement regarding supervisor misconduct. The Cocoa Police Department has been informed an alleged involved our supervisors back to 2016. We're in the process of a thoroughly examination and allegations of the supporting evidence, and we take appropriate action based on the outcome of the investigation. Well, I have a video, and the guy this happened to in 2016 is in my chat. Right, he's in my chat. I know him. And I want to be able to just post the video here so that the public can see. If there's alleged misconduct, I want the public to be able to see what that alleged misconduct is on the Cocoa Beach Police Department page. It is the body cam footage of Amy.
Are you saying Cocoa Beach or Cocoa?
No, I'm sorry. I say Cocoa Beach because I used to be down in Florida. I know it's Cocoa Police Department. I called here before. There's a guy there I talked to for a long time. I'll get into that later. But here's the thing here.
Well, sir, let me do this.
Okay, but you understand how I feel though, right? You understand how I feel. Okay.
I'm a 911 operator, so I do have to take 911 calls, and I'm not able to comment on anything.
Is there a lot of emergencies there in Cocoa, Florida?
We have just about as many as every other
It's pretty nice down there.
jurisdiction.
I mean, it's nice there, right? Cocoa Beach, Cocoa, Florida, right by Cocoa Beach. The two different places. Pretty nice, isn't it?
Actually, they're pretty far apart.
Right.
Let me go ahead and transfer you
To Yvonne. To Yvonne. I hope we can be friends, Charlotte.
Because
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. I see that you're calling from Los Angeles. Is that correct?
Yeah. I'm from LA. Yeah.
Where at in LA?
West Hollywood, California.
Okay, I understand. Yeah, that's where the bank robbery took place.
The bank? No, that was in That was in North Hollywood. North Hollywood is where the bank robbery took
West
place.
Hollywood's the other way. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
North Hollywood. So just so you know, that North Hollywood.
I'm from Los Angeles, so that's why I'm saying I understand what you're saying.
What part of LA are you from?
Let me go ahead and transfer you over to Yvonne, and she would be able to explain if something glitched or something happened. Okay?
Well,
One moment.
What part of LA were you from, though? You never told me.
From Santa Clarita.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Santa Clarita is one of the safest suburbs in all of LA.
All right. Let me go ahead and transfer you over to Yvonne Martinez, and when she comes in, then she would be able to explain to you what actually happened. Because, like I said, we have been inundated with calls, and I'm sure.
But Coco's nice, though, right? Just Cocoa, Florida's nice, though. Just tell me the truth. Just that, and I'll hang up. I'll let you go. You can transfer me to voicemail. But Cocoa, Florida's.
Let me go ahead and transfer.
It's nice, though, right? You'd want me to move there and live there. I could live in that city.
That would be something that is a personal decision for everybody, and nice is relative.
I mean, it's
so let me go
nice,
ahead and
though. I
transfer
mean, it's
you over,
nice.
sir.
The economy's good. It's nice. Okay.
Take care, sir. Thank you for calling.
You betcha. I better be careful. It could be copyright music. I can't play that particular strum.
Hi, you've reached Yvonne Martinez. Please leave a name, number, and a detailed message, and I will get back with you as soon as I can. If your need is more urgent, please contact me on my cell phone at 321-243-7812. Thank you.
Please leave a message at the tone. When finished, you may hang up or press pound for additional options.
Yvonne, how are you? My name is ChilleDeCastro. I'm a journalist. All my calls are recorded. And I just wanted to redress my government with you right now. I understand that you're the public information officer. I saw there was a posting on your Facebook page about a Cocoa police Sergeant Amy who abused a guy in 2016. I know it because I'm the one that shared that video, and I have hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And so little pieces of my videos always go pretty viral. And so, a lot of people heard about this. And so obviously I called the police department to redress, and then I complained well enough that they've launched some sort of investigation, they're saying. And so the post on Facebook, though, as you know, you turned the comments off on there. And the entire point of Facebook is it's a public forum to discuss what's going on in the city, in the neighborhood with Cocoa police, and the controversies and even the victories. So you turning off comments effectively completely chills my First Amendment right to redress my government. And so, I'm calling first to just humbly request if you would turn the comments on so that we can redress our government properly. I got your cell. Maybe I'll call you tomorrow. I don't know. You're welcome to call me back if my phone number is registered, or you can email me at deletelaws@gmail.com. Deletelaws, there's a Z, DLETELAWZ @gmail.com. You can email me and we can discuss this further. But I want to know why I can't redress my government. I want to know why you turned it off. Because you made a posting about an alleged infraction or misconduct by a police officer, and then there's no way to show the video to the people who would go to the Cocoa Police Department Facebook page because you turned off the comments. And all I do is try to find transparency in everything. Because I want transparency for everything, I've been investigated inside and out by numerous dozens of thousands of people. So I call you now that I've been bare naked. My body has been revealed. Everybody's found out everything I've ever done, ever in my whole life, ever. All I want to do is be able to redress my government in an open forum. That's all. That's all I want to do. So if you get this, can you give me a call back or give me a ring back, and let's talk about this a little bit, okay? Okay, Yvonne. I really appreciate you. Thank you for your time. I hope you have a nice day.
To send this message, press pound or hang up. To review, press 1. To re-record, press...
Yvonne, how are you? My name is ChilleDeCastro. I'm a journalist. All my calls are recorded. And I just wanted to redress my government with you right now.
I don't want to hear this whole thing again. But you have to make sure your call goes through when you call police departments. In case you haven't called police departments before, you have to make sure your call goes through. So I'm not gonna call her on her cell phone. You know, I'm gonna call her tomorrow at the office again. So yeah, I mean,
I complained well enough that they've launched some sort of investigation, they're saying. And so the post on Facebook, though, as you know, you turned the comments off on there. And the entire point of Facebook is it's a public forum to discuss what's going on in the city, in the neighborhood with Cocoa police. And you know, the controversies and even the victories. So you turning off comments effectively completely chills my First Amendment right to redress my government. And so, you know, I'm calling first to just humbly request if you would turn the comments on so that we can redress our government properly. I got your cell. Maybe I'll call you tomorrow. I don't know. You're welcome to call me back with my phone number registered. You can email me at deletelaws@gmail.com. Deletelaws with a Z, DLETELAWZ @gmail.com. You can email me, and we can discuss this further. But I want to know why I can't redress my government. I want to know why you turned it off. Because you made a posting about an alleged infraction or misconduct by a police officer, and then there's no way to show the video to the people who would go to the Cocoa Police Department Facebook page because you turned off the comments. And all I do is try to find transparency in everything. Because I want transparency for everything, I've been investigated inside and out by numerous dozens of thousands of people. So I call you now that I've been bare naked. My body has been revealed. Everybody's found out everything I've ever done, ever, in my whole life, ever. All I wanted to do is be able to redress my government in an open forum. That's all. That's all I want to do. So if you get this, can you give me a call back or give me a ring back, and let's talk about this a little bit, okay?
No, I don't love the sound of my own voice, but I have to hear the process to deliver the message.
To send this message, press pound or hang up. To review, press...
You might have pushed 1.
Message sent.
Message sent. Number 1, you have to make sure your message was complete. Often when you record something, it'll cut out what you were saying. Maybe you hit a dead zone on your phone and that was a critical piece of the information. So there's all kinds of reasons why you definitely listen back your messages and make sure that it went through, especially with municipalities, governments, police departments, because number 1, they don't want to check the messages. They don't want to hear the redress. And so number 2, you always want to make sure. Okay. Now I have to go because I got to go pee so bad. My bladder's going to explode. And Constitutional Law Scholar next week. Actually, you guys will start to see it now. I can start to cut stuff together now. There's stuff I'm doing right now. I have stuff on film now for Constitutional Law Scholar. I haven't sat down and edited it yet, but I can now. All right, listen, I got to get the flock out of here. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I'm so grateful that you guys came. So grateful. Thank you for coming, you know, and I don't care how bad YouTube shadow bans me. It doesn't matter to me. I'll just keep on doing what I'm doing. I won't stop under any circumstances, under any conditions, no matter what. I will not stop until I'm the governor of a state and I can change this BS system from the top down. I mean, just think about just like a very, very minor change. What would be that we would consider such a minor change? That there's clocks in the jails. That there's a way to keep time so you can have a sense of normalcy, so you know what time of day it is. And anybody who's ever been to jail for more than 2 or 3 days, you know what I'm talking about. There's no clock on the wall. There's no way to keep time. You have no idea what time it is, ever. It's the most inhumane thing you can do to a person. It's unbelievable to me that when you go to jail and they lock you in the dungeon, and it's all bricks, you can't see anything, and then they don't put a clock on the wall. You're not allowed to tell what time of day it is. It's such a small change that you and I would consider a change, but it's huge. It's gigantic. They don't have a clock on the wall for you. You don't get to know what time it is. Just put yourself in a position where you don't get to see the sunlight, or when you do get to see the sunlight, it's when they're transferring you between rooms or putting you in this cell or putting you in that cell. And it's so horrifically bad that you don't know what time, you don't know if it's noon or 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock or 8. You have no idea what time it is. Love you guys. I'm going to get the flock out of here. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I'll see you guys on the next one. Later, Gators.